Hey, oh, what a weekend it was. How's your weekend? How was your weekend? If you were a Packers fan, did you walk away going, you know what? Not a bad job. Goody did what he could. Not a bad job. Or did you walk away going, still didn't get the wide receiver we needed, still didn't get the help we needed, still not going to be an offensive juggernaut the way they need to be? Give me your thoughts there. Brewers, they are steady. First couple of games of the Cubs series, it seemed like they called upon Joe Boo. Got a little Joe Boo going because the bats woke up. Suddenly, even Christian Yelich was hitting the baseball. Brewers off today. Cincinnati coming to town, beginning a 3-game set tomorrow. So at American Family Field. And then there's the Bucks. And the Bucks and Giannis, they did what a lot of people, including myself, didn't think they would do. There's a lot to break down in that game from yesterday. But one of the things you cannot deny is the tenacity and the physicality with which the Bucks played. And how the Boston Celtics, after that game, said, well, they came out and they were more physical than us, and we didn't expect that. And we wait a minute, you've played this team this year. You've played this team this year. Wait a minute. You know how physical they can be. You know how dominant Giannis can be. Don't tell me that you didn't expect their physicality. That's an excuse for getting your ass whooped. And that's what the Bucks did in game one. Now, there is this discussion as I gotta completely give you Friday night until late yesterday what the weekend was like. Got to give you all of it, okay? Because it was one of those weekends where, as Kristen likes to say, we stuffed 20 pounds of blank into a 10-pound sack, and we did. Got out and about and did a lot. But first of all, we got to check in because Ben Kenny, did you survive Chicago? Are you okay?
Am I okay? No, I did survive. The hangover is persisting into Monday.
I didn't have a hangover, but on Saturday night, I don't know if you saw the pictures. We went to what's called the adult prom. And it was out in Okachi Lake at the Golden Mast, one of the Weisgerber restaurants, the Golden Mast. Went there with a group of friends of ours from both Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water, Joe and Ellen Hennison and their crew, and also our friends from Boondocks. They're all sponsors of ours, and we ended up all getting together and going to this thing. And to me, pair of jeans and a sport coat, I'm good to go, But everybody else, it's like prom. They're in tuxes, and Kristen's in this giant foo-foo skirt dress, and it's cut like down to here, and and the women are in evening gowns, and I'm like, we're going to a restaurant, but it was like prom. And but it started at 3:00 in the afternoon when the limo picked us up. And by the time, and not rented by myself, of course, it was rented by all the other bars, but we just happened to be the first stop. So it started with champagne in the limo. And then from there, it was a couple of beers at Boondocks. It was a beer and a wine out at La Gusabella. And then over to the Weisgerber place, Golden Mast out there, and beautiful, by the way. Then went there, and then it was some spotted cows, and then champagne toasts, and I started drinking water at about 9:30 just to kind of get good enough to where, because I dropped my car off the day before, just to be able to get through the night and to be able to drive home. So I drove home, and then we ended up Ubering down to Nice Ash, because by the time we got home at 11, we're both wired, and we were ready to go. So we went down to Nice Ash, Ubered down, Ubered back. And by the time I got home from Nice Ash, it had all kind of come full circle on me. And I woke up on Sunday morning because we had made some plans to go watch the Bucks game down at the Ale House, the Milwaukee Ale House, yesterday. So we ended up there. And then we ended up down at halftime, heading down to Stenny's, because our friend JoJo, who is like a legend in the Milwaukee market as far as bartending, and everybody knows JoJo if you've ever been to some of these bars, she's moving away. So then we had a going away party, and that was supposed to be a, hey, how you doing? Give me a hug, take a couple pictures, and get out of there. Well, come 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock last night, we were still down there. And by the time we got home, I went to bed last night. Ben, I kid you not, by the time we got home, it was 7 o'clock. By 7:30, I was in bed. By 7:45, I was asleep. And I didn't wake up again until like 7:30 this morning. Yeah, it was, on one hand, you want to say, you know what? You still got it. You still can do it. You can still stuff all that 20 pounds worth of blank into a 10-pound bag. Okay, you can do that. On the other hand, you wake up and you go, I am 55 years old, and I can't do the same thing as I used to do when I was 25 years old. On one hand, I feel good for doing it. On the other hand, I feel like crap for doing it. So I kind of feel where you're coming from. Now, when you left on Thursday, you headed to Chicago for your weekend of mischief and bender. So how hard did you party? Because if you're still hungover, you probably get the A for effort then.
Well, I mean, I was hungover on Saturday morning. We continued all day Saturday into Saturday night. Yesterday, I woke up at 2 p.m., drove back. It wasn't like a real day. And then today, right. I went to sleep at 9, woke up today, and now is when I feel it. But I don't know if it's sad that everything you just said about not being able to do it anymore resonates with me, and I'm 23.
I'll tell you, it was because we started out on Friday night. We met a couple that Krista wanted to go talk to. So we had met them at they called like late on Friday because I thought, Friday, we just do nothing. And they called and said, hey, we're going to meet you at the Pfister. And the Cubs were in town, so it was all Cubs fans and coming back from the Brewers game. And so there was kind of an energy and a buzz to us. So we sat down there at the hotel bar, from like 7:30 until midnight. And just now, granted, that was a pace yourself type of night. But, the next day you wake up and you're kind of like, oh, God, you're thinking to yourself, oh, I got all day. We got all day to do this. No big deal. The limo's not going to be here till 3:45. We're going to be good to go, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden we're looking at each other going, how the hell did the day get away from us? Running around Walgreens at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock trying to you got an hour before you got to get ready. So it was bananas. Anyway, so that being said, that was the weekend. So got a chance to watch a lot of games, got a chance to watch a lot of sports, watch the draft. Friday night, when the draft was underway and people are, texting me and calling me, and I had kind of shut down. So I kind of went back and watched everything again on Saturday morning. I really like the Quay Walker pick out of Georgia and Devontae Wyatt. I've made that very clear. Are the Green Bay Packers better? Getting Christian Watson, which is a guy a lot of you who had been going back and forth with me had wanted. Okay, so you got that guy. Then you get also Shane Ryan, the offensive lineman out of UCLA. Romeo Dobbs, the wide receiver out of Nevada. You get Zach Tom, the offensive lineman out of Wake Forest. You go with the outside edge rusher, Kingsley. I can't even pronounce his last name. We'll get Clemons on later today to talk about it, but he's out of South Carolina. Tariq Carpenter, who's kind of a tweener. He can play safety. He can play a linebacker. He can rush the edge. Not a bad pickup that late. Tariq Carpenter. And then they got Jonathan Ford, the defensive tackle, another big, beefy body. And Rasheed Walker, the offensive tackle out of Penn State. I like that pickup. That's additional depth. And if he ends up making this team, this will end up being a really, really successful draft for Gutekunst. And Torrey, the wide receiver out of Nebraska, the last one chosen. So 3 wide receivers, some offensive line depth, some more defensive line help, linebackers, edge rushers, and 1 guy for the secondary. So now you look at this team and you say, okay, are they better today than they were a few days ago? Yeah, I think unequivocally you can say yes. Okay. Are they better in recognition of a Super Bowl? And now you got to caution yourself because is this offense better? The most passes Aaron Rodgers has ever thrown to a rookie in one season is 38. Let me say that again. The most passes Aaron Rodgers has ever thrown to a rookie in one season, in their first season, is 38. So think about how you're going to replace the productivity of Davante Adams. Are they better? I think they're a better team defensively. I think they're really deep and strong defensively. I do. Are they better? I don't think they're any closer to a Super Bowl today than they were going into the draft because they still don't have that extra weapon. And one of the things about it when they drafted different, because there's so much being made about how the Packers never go after a first-round wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers, when he had other weapons coming in, rookies coming in, Jordy Nelson coming in, and you start to go through that list, you had Donald Driver, you had Greg Jennings, you had James Jones, you had, Jordy Nelson, you had, Randall Cobb came in and he had all those guys to work with. Rookies now, you got Randall Cobb to work with. That's it. And Randall Cobb is not blowing the lid off. Randall Cobb's not blowing the lid off. So when you talk about veterans that know this offense, okay? Sammy Watkins is a veteran, but he's not a veteran that knows this offense that can that can turn things around for this team. One, it's going to be collection. Two, I don't think they're done. I think they need a trade, or it's going to be somebody that's on the open market, whether they pick up, say, Odell Beckham Jr. is progressing at a far greater pace than what a lot of people were thinking. Then maybe Odell Beckham Jr. comes into the system. Maybe that happens. You pick him up, you wait till October, and you go from there. Jarvis Landry, another one. I think he wants too much. I think he's waiting for somebody to go down in somebody's camp, and he's going to try to get, what he's asking for, which is about $20 million a year, which the Packers can't afford. I think the Packers are better today as a team and better defensively, but I still don't think that they are any closer to a Super Bowl today than they were going into the draft last Thursday morning because you don't have the additional weapons. So there's a lot of consternation about. I think the draft was good. Look, I like the choices. I do. But I still think you need another guy. They've got 3 wide receivers. It's kind of the buckshot approach. You get 2 or 3 wide receivers, hope that one pans out, right? You hope that one. If you get 2, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Pass the the change plate. But I still think you need another wide receiver. Give me your thoughts. Do you think the Packers nailed it? Do you think the Packers swung on a miss? Did they make a mistake by not going ahead and taking the chance and jumping up in the draft in that first round to get one of those first 6 wide receivers that so many coveted? New Orleans jumped up. Detroit jumped up. Kansas City went up. There's so many different teams that wanted to get those guys, those wide receivers, and now you got to wonder, how did the Packers do? Give me your thoughts. We're going to talk a lot about this coming up today. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, you can find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can also track us down on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can subscribe there absolutely free. It's free. We don't charge you for it. They don't charge you for it. You can subscribe, and when we go on the air, boom, it's right there on your phone or your mobile device or wherever you want to watch it. Also, you can find us over on Twitch TV. And then don't forget to listen to the program. Anything you missed, you can track down on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. This one's from Mark. He says, the camera is on the outside tiki bar. Is there a reason why? I'm going to bring that up because right now you can't see it, or at least she's not there. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back, too. Stay tuned, because I need an ornithologist in this. If you know somebody out there that's an ornithologist, stay tuned. I got to get into that discussion, too, coming up. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show, and it's all coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. The schedule is out, by the way, for the Bud Pavilion. I can't wait. Looking forward to another terrific year at the Bud Pavilion this year. So if you are going to be out and you're going to be heading out on Wednesday Night Live, which gets underway in a few weeks, and you want to swing by all means, come on by. The Bud Pavilion is going to start out May 25th. May 25th, they open up the stage. Rebel Grace goes to the stage. But this is what I'm excited about. June 1st, Madison County is on the stage there. And then Cherry Pie the week after, and then the Toys, then the Cheap Shots. Almighty Vinyl, there's going to be Generation Z out there. Love Monkeys, the Toys, all that kind of good stuff. Oh, going to be a great year of live music out at the Bud Pavilion, out at the State Fair Park on Wednesday Night Live. Starts on May 25th, and it's all brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. What did you think of the draft? What did you think of the Green Bay Packers draft? Did you, if you're going to grade it, what are you going to grade them? What would you think the draft would grade out at? 877-867-1670. What do you like? What do you dislike about it? What do you dislike about it? Love to hear that as well, because I think the NFL draft for the Green Bay Packers, while many of you wanted to see them grab a first round wide receiver, trade up, got to get the guy, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. Now, when Green Bay, when Green Bay, when the Packers made their moves, I really like what the Packers did, where they basically stated, look, we couldn't get the wide receiver we wanted, so we're going to take the best available player. And they did it not once, but twice. And they bolstered an already good defense. Packers defense was top 10 last year. The problem they had was third down. They were ranked 23rd in the National Football League on third down. They needed to get off the field more. That either is, the creation of edge rush. Obviously, coverage can be an issue. They tried to address some of those areas. And what has become kind of the yearly tradition, everybody's shouting for the Packers to draft a wide receiver in the first round. The only difference that this year they had 2 first-round picks, and and they just got rid of what could obviously be arguably be the top wide receiver in the NFL. He goes to Vegas. So everybody wanted that guy. Everybody wanted that guy. Nobody came available really because Goody said, one, the price was too high. Two, that you got to have a partner to dance with. Sometimes you just don't have a dance partner. So instead, they waited for Christian Watson, the wide receiver out of North Dakota State, number 34 overall, drops into their lap. Instant redemption came early on Friday when the Packers moved up to get him, which I thought was, the cost to move up to get a guy in the second round is less than the cost to move up to get a guy in the first round. So that's, when you got Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, you need another guy. Now, Watson's a raw talent, okay? And he's still developing. And that's why you'd like to have that veteran wide receiver that can really give him a lot of pointers because you know what he is. But 4'3", 6'4", he's got a ton of upside. He's got a ton of upside. If this guy can develop into anything, he is going to be a true threat for the Green Bay Packers. Now, does that satisfy you, though? Does that satisfy you? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? Do it. Go ahead and do it. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's talk to our buddy Dave. Dave, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Hey, how you doing there, Bill?
I'm doing great.
Good Monday to you. I'd give the Packers a good solid B to B+. They definitely strengthened the defense, which already had improved a lot from the previous year. And with the talent they got coming in, their special teams have got to be better. They've drafted some hitters. They drafted some speed. I think that'll be a big improvement. The only thing they didn't get was a tight end. And I don't know. I don't know what they plan on using there. They seemed weak going into that position and come out weak in that position.
I think they're still confident if you got Tanya and Mercedes Lewis, Dominic Daphne, I think they're still confident in those three guys. Plus, you have kind of the Swiss Army knife in Josiah DeGuara in what would be his third season. So I think they don't feel that's a necessity. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, I thought it was one of those drafts where usually come Monday morning or Sunday morning, the Packers stunk. They didn't do anything. What a horrible. But no, I thought they did a very, very good job.
Yeah, I thought if I had to grade it, I'm probably going to go with a B. The A would have been getting the top first, one of the first 5-6 guys to go when it came to wide receiver. But beyond that, I thought they did a great job. Appreciate the phone call, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My biggest surprise, though, was Minnesota doing the trading within the division, both to the Packers and to the Lions. Why do you help your people in your own division get better?
Well, you know what? But the Minnesota Vikings, don't you think the Vikings got better too because of the picks? I mean, that Andrew Booth Jr. pick, the corner out of Clemson, they needed a good corner. Their secondary has not been playing well. They traded back in the first round and they took Georgia safety Lewis Cine to close out day one. Then on day two, that's kind of interesting because, Booth is a solid pick, and they got really good in the secondary all of a sudden, and that was one of their weakest spots last season. So they traded back and still got the guys they wanted, and they had additional draft picks. So, I agree with you. Trading in the division, not always the smartest thing to do, but they got better because of it. And one of those trades that benefits everybody, those things tend to work out. And I think that Minnesota got better, and they traded with the Lions, so the Lions could get Jameson Williams, and Williams probably not even going to play this year. So I mean, he'll play down the road, but at least they've got now a secondary that can keep up with Jameson Williams.
Interesting. Yeah.
Think about it. There you go.
All right. Yeah.
All right, bud.
All right.
Be good.
Thank you, Bill.
Talk to you soon. There you go. Booth, he's got top end press man corner. He's solid in that area. He's what they call scheme versatile, and he can play off in a man, some zone looks as well. But I thought that the Vikings got better because they needed defensive help. They needed more secondary help, and I think they got it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do it. Give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, by the way, so yeah, this is what so if you can see, she's not there. On the Bud Light live stream, if you're looking at the picture over by the patio door, there she goes. Down by the patio door on the sill, I've got more bird poop than anybody should ever have. And I when I got back from Minnesota last week, that's where it was all over the place. And I'm thinking, what the hell? There used to be a bird's nest up above in the eaves, in the overhang. And I don't know what happened to the nest, but Mama is looking for the babies. And she's pecking on my door, literally wakes me up every morning now. Every morning at about 6:30, you hear she flies against the door, stands in front of the door and pecks on the door like she wants to come in. Now, when I open the door, she just stands there and looks at me, but she's collecting all the stuff to build a nest, right? And she's just leaving it at the doorstep. I don't know if she's going to have more babies and she can't fly, or she's looking for the eggs and the babies that were there. But this little bird keeps pecking at my door. I don't know. I don't want to hurt her. You know, I let her in. I let her into the house. She came in, she hopped around, looked around, and then flew back out. So if there's an ornithologist out there, let me know what you do about birds pecking on your windows. I mean, this is not like a bird, looking for food. This is like a bird pecking, like looking in the door, pecking to get in. I've never seen anything like it. And she's not there right now. You can't, because you'll see the little black blob there next to the window, next to the patio door over in the Bud Light live stream. But if you got an ornithologist running around in your family, let me know. I need to figure this out because I don't want to hurt the little bird. I want her to be better, but she's building a nest on my stoop and pooping everywhere. So there you have it. It's kind of like a bad Friday night hanging out with Ben Kenny down in Chicago. Same thing. Pooping everywhere after the end of the night. 877-867-1670. Scott says, you bet, great draft. As we found out last year, having speed on defense makes it a lot better, and some maulers on the offensive line, and length and speed at wide receiver. Good draft. I got, what else do we have here? This is from the Phantom. Honestly, was shocked they went all D in the first round again, but I get not overpaying to move up for a wide receiver. I believe in Goody and LaFleur. Thomas says, what makes so many think that they had got one of the so-called top wide receivers instantly, a Super Bowl team? They didn't get there with Adams. I will take guys on defense over those other wide receivers. There you go. A lot of people with a lot of issues regarding trying not overpaying to move up in the draft. I get it. I understand that. Don't overpay to go up and get anybody. By the way, Thomas also says I have a robin pecking on a basement window every morning. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Taylor says, would you have been happy if they traded number 22 for Hollywood Brown? That trade was so interesting. Because they took Quay Walker with that pick. I mean, in the immediacy, Taylor, yes, I would have been happy with that. If they traded and got Hollywood Brown and got rid of that first round pick, yeah, another veteran wide receiver. Then you go from not having one to having two, plus additional ones that you're going to bring in, because you still would have ended up with Christian Watson. So you would have had Hollywood Brown, Christian Watson, Devontae Wyatt, and then your draft. And yeah, I think you would have felt much more fortified coming out of the draft than you probably feel today. However, if I got to grade it, I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to give it a B. It can become an A. It can become an A if some of the other guys that they chose later rounds, some of these wide receivers, all of a sudden work out. Or if you get one or two of these 6th round or 7th round draft choices that work out and become a legit player. We've seen this happen before. Or one of these undrafted free agents that come out of nowhere and really vie for a spot on the team and become good depth players for special teams. Hell yeah. I'll never forget Ron Wolf standing on the sideline up at the Packer rookie minicamp. Looks over to Donald Driver. Driver comes walking over. puts his arm around him and says, if you make this team, you'll make this draft successful for me. And look what Donald Driver became as a 7th-round draft choice. Hell yes. I'd take that in a heartbeat. 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never-rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. Then there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Hella now? Pay later. Hella now. Pay
Court's adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Glad you're with us. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hopefully you're enjoying your day. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. We are getting there next week, this weekend and next week. We're finally supposed to be back to our normals or above normal. And the weather's supposed to get better. The rain's supposed to move. And I believe, I know there's a big bike blessings going on this weekend, but I believe we're going to be able to get out and ride starting next week pretty consistently. I cannot wait. So if you're looking for a new bike, a used bike, wanting to learn how to ride, or maybe parts, motor clothes, whatever it happens to be, go to wisshd.com. That is wisshd.com. That's wisshd.com. A lot to get to. A lot of different things to get to. Let's go to Ross from Wausau. Ross listening to us on ESPN up there, as a matter of fact. Ross, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing, Bill?
Doing great, buddy. What you thinking?
I think draft games are pretty pointless. Like they're dumb. But I liked what the Packers did. With Watkins, I think he's going to be a very good wide receiver. I was just a little confused with what they did. Like in the first round. Like they went defense. It seems like they're going more for defense and running. With those two great running backs they have. And if they're going more defense and running, why do you re-sign Rodgers to that huge deal? And then you have to get rid of Adams and stuff. And, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, I guess.
Well, my assumption is this. There's a couple of things. First of all, Rodgers still gives you the best chance to win. And I agree with you. You should have probably been able to fortify him with more guys around him weaponry-wise, because you want to push all your chips to the middle of the table. And I understand. But as Gutekunst said, and I agree with this, when you don't have that ability, when those either you don't have the dance partner or the value is just too much, you don't want to give away the farm for one guy who may or may not pan out. What you'd rather do is stand pat, build your team better in other areas, and you're still not done. Don't forget, there's going to be June 1st cuts. There could be a trade between now and then, and there's a couple of free agents that are still sitting out there. You can maybe get in on the mix. So it all is not lost yet. I got a gut feeling that what the wide receivers are right now on paper in Green Bay, there's going to be additions to that group by the time this team gets to training camp.
I have a question real quick. Do you think, and I guess because I don't listen every single day, do you think there's any possible way they could have kept Adams or made him happy? Because in my eyes, like if you have Rodgers for maybe 2 years yet of best time, you do whatever you can with, Rodgers being as great as he is to keep as much talent around him as there is. And I understand, they got a first and a second for Adams, but I would have just kind of sucked it up and said, either you sign a franchise tag or you don't play. Because I think that's what would eventually have happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably would have happened.
Could have kept Adams.
But they offered him a contract more money than what the Oakland Raiders did, or the Las Vegas Raiders did. They gave him the same deal or better, and he still didn't want to stay here. So, because he was hell-bent on saying, I am not going to play for a franchise tag. Now, when push comes to shove and the rubber meets the road with money, sometimes guys change their mind. I agree with that. But he had said numerous times he was not going to play on a franchise tag. So if you tagged him and you didn't get him a new deal, he wasn't going to play. And that's the chance you would have taken.
Right, and it looks like Deebo Samuel's doing the same thing with San Francisco,
Right.
but it looks like they're not budging. So it's just interesting to see, different approaches.
Yeah, they're not budging yet. You just wait and see, but they're not budging yet. Well, maybe they also have some inside info that maybe Deebo Samuel is not as hell-bent on leaving San Francisco as maybe outwardly, and the reports might be. So if you feel you've got a glimmer of hope to keep a guy, you do everything you can to keep him if he's a solid player. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. Eventually, they're going to end up moving him. You're not going to let him sit out and get nothing for him. So appreciate the phone call. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. Scott says, great draft for the Packers. Surprise, Love was not moved. I really wasn't. I really wasn't. I don't know why. If everybody wanted to move Jordan Love, the question is, as another team looking at him, why would you want to take him? And I saw all weekend, if you watch the draft, and I went back and started rewatching, different aspects of it, over the weekend and today, when they talked about Jordan Love, and it was very few, I think maybe it was twice, but when they showed Jordan Love's statistics, and they showed the game against Kansas City and the second half of the game against Detroit, and the throws in the preseason, there was nothing on tape that made you go, wow. Like I said, I saw one throw in all of those different pass attempts from Jordan Love that made me think, okay, there's something here. And that was the one throw to Jay Sternberger in between a couple of defenders. Other than that, I didn't see anything that really made it look good in any way, shape, or form. So what, I can see trading him, but were you going to trade him for a fourth? For a third, maybe? You weren't going to get a second for him. Phones weren't ringing. I don't care how much they say, yeah, we were talking. No. Could put it this way. If you wanted to get Deebo Samuel, you could have offered Jordan Love and a draft choice or two. Because obviously they're not sure if they want Garoppolo, if they want Trey Lance. You could always add Jordan Love as a backup, whatever. You can go in that direction. Nothing. It's quiet. All quiet on that front. 877-867-1670. Before we go to break, let's get to Bob. Bob, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, Bill, thanks for the line. By the way, great prom picks.
Thank you.
I give Green Bay a solid B+ on this. Bill, I wouldn't know a value chart if you slapped me up with one. But with that said, I wasn't thrilled with Green Bay giving away those 2 second-round picks to move up to 34, wherever they took the Watson at. I was a Pickens bobo, and I like the idea of them coming, of Pickens coming from that type of offense in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, great wide receivers throughout history have come from much smaller schools, I realize, but NDSU, I know the kid's got blazing speed and all these other intangibles, and that's what fans are falling in love with. I read it on social media. Oh, he's going to be the next Randy Moss and yada, yada, yada. And they make it, the fans, I think, make it sound like this is just plug and play, but the most profound statistic is one that you led off with. Rodgers has only the most throws is 38 to a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill, I'm not buying what he is selling. Well, I'm going to work with the wide receivers. Yeah, I seen how that worked, years ago. He doesn't. I can't trust you to catch the ball. The heck with it. I'll go to Watkins or whoever he deems to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping I'm really wrong. The defensive upgrades were outstanding, and I thought what Green Bay did on the O-line was great. You got some insurance at guard, and hopefully there's maybe even a tackle in there.
Right.
But overall, I just give it a B+. Let the line go, okay?
Okay, appreciate it, man. B+. So give me your grade. We can grade it, what you think. Or you think that the Packers nailed it, or do you think they needed to do more? Or are you living with the in Goody we trust? which is fine too, because nobody's wrong right now because nothing's been proven other than the fact that there's another crop of names that have been added to the list of Green Bay Packers. Until they get out there and prove something, this is all conjecture. So there's no wrong answer here. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The NASCAR Series returns. Secure your tickets to see the big guns roar around the road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For all the racing information, go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on, and I had mentioned yesterday we were down at Stenny's, said our goodbyes to JoJo, who she's going to be here about another month or so, but one of they had like these Milwaukee Legend shirts on, and which is true because JoJo was with Budweiser and Beechwood for a long time. For those of you that used to come out and see our Thursday night huddles, they're back again this year, by the way. We'll be back on Thursday night during the football season. But JoJo was always a part of the Bud Girls. She was just always kind of the leader and always brought the energy and was always in a great mood, is always in a great mood. Just so much fun to be around. and has decided, you know what, time to go to Florida. So she's moving, but we were all down Stenny's yesterday, and there was a couple of people there that came over to say hello. And I know his name was Bob. I think his wife's name was Jenny. And if I'm screwing it up, I apologize. But they came in specifically from Wausau to see the Cubs series, but they came in specifically because they hear us talk about it all the time on the program. And they wanted to try the wings. He came up. He said thanks. They took the shuttle yesterday down and back even though they saw a loss for the Brewers and the Cubs, but had a great time down at Stenny's. Second in National, Walker's Point, one of the best sports bars. It was packed for the Bucks game. It was one of the best sports bars there is. Stop in, tell them all we said hi, and no JoJo, but hey, life goes on, right? Life goes on. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. Let's get back to the phone calls because I think I'm either mistaken or not mistaken. Nope, they hung up. He hung up. Sorry, didn't wait during the break. Let's do this then. Let's get over to the emails because we got some emails to get to. Our buddy Steve says, good day, Bill. I think the Packers are in better shape right now. They drafted speed and physicality while addressing the needs at the same time. I am glad that Goody tried to trade up but refused due to the draft capital it would end up costing him. In addition to Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt, pushed Joe Barry's defense into the top 10, perhaps even top 5. I think the sleeper of the picks is Sean Ryan from UCLA. He has the same attributes as Elton Jenkins, where he can play anywhere on the line. He seems to be one nasty dude. The one thing that crossed my mind is, are they transitioning from an outscore the opponent with an offense to winning with defense? It makes me think that they're planning for life without 12 in the next 2 to 3 years. And all in all, I love what the Packers did this weekend. That's our buddy Steven Ridgefield. Steve, appreciate the email. I think they accomplish the 2 or 3 years down the road and you win with defense. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But what he did was, and I appreciate, if it's not there, don't reach. Don't reach. Don't do something stupid. If it's not there, don't do it. And that, I guess you could say, is the Ted Thompson philosophy rubbing off on Brian Gutekunst. You can try to trade up, but there's a certain value to guys in the first round. And if guys are going in the first round and trades are happening and numerous teams are seeking to move up, don't get caught up in that. Don't give away extra guys because of one guy, unless you believe that guy is the guy. He the man. And I think the only time you really give up a lot of draft capital to do that would be as if you're finding a franchise quarterback for sure. Okay? So I appreciate, look, he wasn't there. Drake London wasn't there. Chris Olave wasn't there. Garrett Wilson wasn't there. Those guys weren't there. Even Jameson Williams wasn't there. So you don't do something stupid. So what's the next best available? You got guys that have won a championship, guys that have been stout, guys that have had a defense that's just been one of the most dominant in college football. They've been dominant at their position. They performed extremely well in the biggest of spotlights. I don't have a problem with that. And then you address that need with less draft capital in the second round, and you got the guy that you had kind of been eyeballing. So I don't think, and what many of you have stated, Christian Watson was a pick by many of you for quite some time. So I think getting him in the second round, rather than jumping back to get him in the first round or giving up draft capital or what have you, I like what they did. So when you say, are they drafting for the future? Yeah, you always keep the future in mind. I don't think you don't do anything stupid. But I think the process by which Brian Gutekunst went about this, I respect that. There's only been one time that he's really had a far out, stick your neck out reach, and that's been Jordan Love. That's it. Otherwise, he's let the draft board kind of come to him. He's been successful in the first couple of rounds of the draft. After that is where you stretch, and he has not hit on as many. Admittedly, there's some guys that are there, but when you're talking about hitting on a guy, Tremont Williams, Sam Shields, that's hitting on guys that were undrafted, going after those guys. So I like what he did. Now see what happens. See if some of these guys pan out. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. 877-867-1670. Our buddy Dwayne up in Wassa says, love the draft. O-line depth. Zach Tom from Wake Forest. He's a steal, one of the best pass blockers in the draft. Stud and Wyatt and good guys later for special teams. Also like Watson at the wide receiver. I give it a grade A. There you go. James says, hope Goody was right away better than Ted Thompson. And James also said, come back to lacrosse. We're going to be back in lacrosse. I'm going to make that announcement coming up. I'll tell you when. I got a note over the weekend and did some jockeying with the schedule. And our tour will begin in late May, early June, as we are going to start to hit the road again, visiting many of our affiliate cities. So look for us to get out near you soon. Can't wait. Cannot wait for all that's about to go down. Can't wait. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up next, John Cooper, Pro Football Focus, going to be joining us. Or excuse me, our Lads Scouting Guide. Our Lads. He's going to be joining us. Mike Renner from Pro Football Focus, going to be about an hour from now. And Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated, about an hour and a half. Mike Clemons coming up in the last hour of the program. Oh, we got a banner day planned. We haven't even gotten to the Brewers and the Bucks yet. Brewers take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. Bucks stole one. We'll get into that discussion too. More draft coverage, draft reaction. It's coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show. Hang in there.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Powered by the second triple-double of his playoff career, Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists to help the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Celtics in Boston for Game 1 of the second round of the NBA's playoffs, 101-89. Head coach Mike Budenholzer talks on the Greek Freaks' big game.
I think the word, one of the words, the patience, just keep working, keep reading the defense. The spacing around him's got to be great. We got to give him outlets. He just keeps reading the game, and sometimes it's scoring, sometimes it's sharing it. Just got to do both.
Game 2 will take place tomorrow night. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock from Boston. To the majors, the Milwaukee Brewers would take 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs over the weekend, falling yesterday 2-0. Corbin Burns would go 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and 2 earned runs, while Milwaukee's offense could only collect 3 hits. The Brewers currently sit 15-8. That's good for first place in the NL Central. They have tonight off before hosting the Cincinnati Reds at American Family Field on Tuesday.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
As a proud sponsor of the WIAA, they care about your community like you do. They believe the communities that support their athletes are the true champions. Visit ruralmutual.com/WIAA to learn how they support high school athletics.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Over the weekend, saw the Green Bay Packers make 11 selections in the 2022 NFL Draft, starting with linebacker Quay Walker at number 22 overall in the first round, while also drafting 3 wide receivers. Also, it may have taken until day 2 and 3 of the NFL's draft, but Wisconsin football wound up having 5 players selected, matching the highest total of Badgers taken during the Paul Chryst era. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. Glad you're with us. Thanks so much. As always, This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Quick Trip. And if you're looking to do some grilling, chilling, that kind of thing, you're good to go. They've got all of your tailgating needs, that's for sure, or picnic needs, or if you're going to get out and about, and obviously the fuel to provide it, to send you anywhere you need to go. And they are also, speaking of sending you somewhere, they're also doing a lot of stuff with Road America for the upcoming NASCAR Series race that's going to be coming here during the July 4th weekend. And they want you to get registered to win a vehicle. So go to Quick Trip. Go into Quick Trip. Use your Quick Rewards card. You're good to go. That's our friends over there at Quick Trip. Time now to talk a lot more about this NFL draft. John Cooper from Our Lads Scouting Service. Go to ourlads.com. Joining us on the hotline. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing well.
So give me, I don't want to get into the whole grading thing, but just give me your thoughts on what the Green Bay Packers did overall in addressing many of their needs or just stockpiling more talent for their team.
Well, I think that's the key thing. You want to go into a draft and answer your needs with players that, have value at that spot. And I think the Packers did a good job of that at this point. We like to say that drafts are like wine. You don't know what you're going to get until they age a while. So that's so we don't grade them real heavily. After the OTAs, we put what we think. But, right now we think the Packers did we like what the Packers did.
So let's start in the first round with the two defenders, both out of Georgia, Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. Both of these guys stout at what they do. The Packers needed some additional depth there. How much stronger did the defense get just by the addition of those two guys?
Well, I think in this day and age, your nickel defense is going to be on the field 75% of the time for most teams. And I think the Packers drafted to upgrade that sub package, which really isn't a sub package. Quay Walker is going to be on the field for every down. I mean, he's a solid in coverage. He can match receivers, backs out of the backfield. He can run the seam. He's a good run and chase linebacker, good change of direction, can take on blocks. Solid football player, that should, be a nice match with Campbell. And those two guys should, they'll be on the field every down. Could be a very nice tandem. Devontae Wyatt, he can be a 5 technique in their base defense, but more importantly, he can be an inside pass rusher in their nickel. And I think he's upgraded that area, tremendously for Green Bay. He gives you some physical presence that can move quick up. He's quick at the snap. He can run. He can chase. He can rush the passer. So you've got a solid football player.
So let's go because they also needed, obviously, a wide receiver, and they needed offensive line help. Let's start with Christian Watson. Christian Watson, a lot of people already had their eye on here. Then they ended up getting him in the second round, moving up to get him, not giving up as much draft capital had they moved up and picked up one of the top 6 wide receivers in this draft. Christian Watson goes next. Give me your thoughts on him.
Well, he's got upside player. He's got speed. He's really what they need. We felt that the number one thing they needed in a receiver was somebody that can take the top off, which is, not something they have right now necessarily. He's going to have to develop. He played at a lower level. He's got speed. He can run. He's a decent route runner. There's some things he has to develop as far as that goes. It's not just about speed, but he's got good hands. He's got some. He's a solid football player. We had him, like lower in the second round, upper third. But what we found is teams were jumping. The receiver run was crazy, in terms of how fast they were going off the board. We had some guys with third, fourth round grades that were going in the second round. So, and that's where some teams really didn't get a receiver as a result. But the Packers, I think, got a couple of them that are decent that can help them.
Now the offensive line needed some depth help. And when you talk about Zach Tom playing right tackle, a lot of people wanted to compare him immediately to Elton Jenkins and how good Elton Jenkins can be. So you tell me, is Zach Tom a good pickup in that 4th round value-wise because they needed to solidify that right tackle position, at least until Elton Jenkins returns?
Yeah, he can play center, he can play tackle, he can play guard. I mean, he's we kind of project him as a guard more than a tackle, but he's played left tackle, so he's obviously can do it. I think he's going to be a nice swing player for the Packers. I think maybe like a 6th man on their line, and he can play that right tackle spot if Jenkins can't. But again, he's he's an experienced player. He's played a lot of spots. He's a quality player, and we think he's good value. But we're not sure he's going to be a bona fide starter at right tackle right away. But he could be.
The other depth on the offensive line, they get Rasheed Walker in the 7th round, Ryan Shea, the left guard, if you want to call him that, and kind of pigeonhole him there for right now. Right, Sean Ryan, I should say. Excuse me. He comes in the 3rd round. Give me your thoughts on the rest of those guys.
Well, I like Ryan a lot as a guard. I think he can step right in and play guard right away for you, even though he was a tackle. There's a little bit of a learning curve there. But we projected him all along as a quality guard, even though he was a tackle. And I think that's where he's going to be. And I think that's what the Packers see in him. The other lineman, Walker, is interesting because we had him projected a lot higher, and we don't have access to the injury, the medical reports. And we understand now that what dropped him to the 7th round is something with an injury history. A knee, possibly. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but injury concerns did drop him. If he's helped, looking at his film, he's going to help the Packers right away.
The rest of the wide receiving core, we talked about Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. They also picked up, was it Samori Toure? Or Torrey? Mm-hmm. Give me your thoughts on those two guys as well. And I would assume that there's going to be another deal made at some point to bring in, at least to attempt to bring in another veteran wide receiver. But those guys taking kind of the buckshot approach of just shooting the target as many times as possible and hoping something hits.
Yeah, where Dubs is a guy we like. I mean, he went about where we thought he would go, in the draft. He's a solid route runner, decent speed, a little tight-hipped. His route running ability is involved in his ability to change speeds to create separation. He's not going to make those great lateral cuts to get open, but he is a solid player with decent hands. Possibly fit in the slot. He's a little tight-hipped, but he's a very good returner as well. He can help the Packers' return game.
The rest of the NFC North, we were talking a little earlier about the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, the Lions, the Packers all traded with each other within the division during this draft. You don't see that very often. But going at least to the Lions trade, the Lions, I think, patience, I think, will prove out to be worth it. Putting him on that turf, Jameson Williams, once he recovers from that knee injury, that speed will be accelerated there. Also, the Vikings, I thought, got better in the secondary because of some of the deals that they made, and they desperately needed secondary help. It seemed like everything worked out for everybody, and that's usually kind of the best trades. Do you agree?
Oh, no question. No question. I look at the drafts of the NFC North, and I think, every team in the NFC North answered needs and got some quality football players. I mean, Detroit didn't have a lot of picks, but we really like what they did. And down the line, they got a player that we like a lot is the linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez. Undersized, but he can play. And, the safety from Illinois, Kirby Joseph, very good football player for 1 year. So I think that's why he went down. If you look at if he would have played all three, for his whole career like he did his senior year, he probably would have gone higher. Obviously Williams and Hutchinson are two very quality players. Excellent first-round picks. Again, Williams with the injury, that's going to be a question. Minnesota getting the 2 defensive backs, and the Bears getting the 2 defensive backs. They got immediate starters right away. With Booth and Seen, and down the line, a nice linebacker and Asamoah, another corner in Evans. It could be a slot corner potentially. Again, they kind of tip in their hand at what they want to do. They're going to be a zone-heavy team, it looks like, because that's what those 3 defensive backs are good at. So it's going to be interesting to see what. But again, like you said, they did well.
I still think the Packers are the team to beat in the NFC North, and I will until probably Rodgers is gone. At this point, I'd have to say, Minnesota, they did some good things. They'll probably be that team vying for that second spot. What do you think of Chicago? I mean, because I think Detroit got exponentially better. They needed weapons and they needed secondary help, and they got that. Give me your thoughts on the Chicago Bears.
Well, the Bears, got 2 immediate starters in Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker. And we think those are quality football players that are going to help them immediately at positions of need. The offensive line has been a problem. The defense, I think they could have gotten they didn't really address the interior of their defensive line. They got a nice situational pass rusher in Robinson from Miami, Ohio. And they've got some upside offensive linemen who it's kind of hard to predict how they're going to do because they didn't get anybody until the 5th round with Braxton Jones from Southern Utah. So they've still got a ways to go. But I think the two second-round picks are going to make them better on defense. And I think they're going to be a better football team on defense, because they're going to have healthy guys. They're not going to have Akeem Hicks always coming in and out. And the same thing with Mack. I mean, those guys haven't been on the field enough to really make that defense solid. And so they've loaded up on some picks. They're like the Packers. They didn't get a receiver, that was one of the top 6. They got a guy that's, we think is a little bit of a project in Velus Jones. He went a lot higher than we expected, but he can run and he's a good returner. He's going to help their return game. And, he's got some possibilities as a solid slot receiver as far as run after the catch. So they help themselves. Let's put it that way. But I don't think they're ready to compete for a title.
Right. No, I would agree with that. I just don't know how much better they got, and we're going to have to wait and see, obviously, with the coaching change and such there anyway. But a lot of talk after day one about the teams that have really scored big and whether or not that held out through the remainder of the draft. You look at the Jets and what they did, the Giants, what they did, the Detroit Lions and what they did. Who really, as we sit here today and start to give all these grades, if you will, who really, really kind of nailed this one? Who looks really good coming out of this draft?
Well, as far as answering needs are concerned, there's a lot of teams that did that. The team that I thought really got good value was Baltimore. Getting Hamilton, when they did, getting the center Linderbaum.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they gave up a player in Marquise Brown, and I'm not sure they didn't really answer that need in the draft. So that, bothers me a little bit. They got probably the highest graded guy that dropped out of the draft in free agency in the UDFA in Polk. But, they got some very good receiving tight ends, which is a big emphasis of their offense. But, we think they did very well, with their draft. Got a slot corner, kind of corner that can help them. The safety, obviously, is going to give them, a quality secondary. So, yeah, we like what they did.
Give me your thoughts real quick. Pittsburgh needing a quarterback. They did not allow the Pittsburgh kid to get out of town. Kenny Pickett, they grabbed him in that first round. And then they back it up with Pickens in the second round. And many thought Pickens might have been a really high-end draft choice had it not been for some of the character issues that he had. And so they feel that he kind of fell because of that. Now, whether or not he had that first-round talent, I don't know specifically. But to get Kenny Pickett and then back it up and get another wide receiver that everybody considers to be pretty good, seems like Pittsburgh got better as well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Pittsburgh had a good draft. The quarterback, he was the only quarterback we thought was NFL ready. And even then it's questionable, but the quarterbacks went the way which is surprising to us because they went the way that, we had them graded. We looked at the need and thought Willis might go in the first round, but as far as the way we had him graded, he wasn't a first round pick. And Pickett was the guy we thought would go first and really the only guy with even a borderline first round grade. So, and he's a solid player. He's from there, right there in Pittsburgh. So, they did well.
John, always great to talk to you.
Obviously is good.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks so much as always. And it's always great to talk to you and pick your brain just to kind of see what you guys who do this for a living think of what the Green Bay Packers and so many other teams did throughout the NFL. Certainly appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks, John. Talk to you. There you go. John Cooper. He is with Our Lads. Go to ourlads.com, OURLADS, ourlads.com. That is the draft Bible that I use. And I'm sitting here right now for those watching on the Bud Light live stream. That's the draft Bible that I use right there. Our Lads Scouting Service. fantastic, detailed depth and information. And it's such a good guide. Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Dwayne's Cover It All. Dwayne's Cover It All. They are up in Wausau. And our buddy Dwayne, we've already heard from him today. He loves the draft, by the way. So if you're looking to get any upholstery work done, maybe a boat cover provider, or if you're looking for, say, a canvas awning for your business or something like that, you can call up there. You can not only get the work done, but maybe even talk a little Packers draft with them. 715-870-2119. That's 715-870-2119. And if you're looking for a fantastic boat to go along with it, or maybe you buy a used one, and you think, I need a little bit of work, but if you're going to go get a great deal on a new or used boat, get a hold of our friend Todd over at Skipper Buds. Go to skipperbuds.com. You can check out their huge selection of yachts and pontoons and sport boats, deck boats, fishing boats. They have the best in water sports, and all you got to do is stop it. Now, I go to the one in Pewaukee. That's where you can get Todd, 262-544-1200, but he can do deals all over, 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. And I know that a lot of people aren't doing, European vacations, and there's still COVID restrictions and all that kind of stuff. So let's enjoy it right here in our own backyard. We got so many lakes, so many areas to go boating. Check it out over at Skipper Buds, 262-544-1200. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, by all means, that's the phone number to do so. Would love to hear from you. I do want to get to everybody chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream, and I want to get to all the emails and such and tweets and all that kind of good stuff. And I will be putting this out on the Facebook page, and you'll be able to find it over on the website as well. Where did it go? Now I got to find it. That stinks. So for those of you that have been wanting to know about the cigar dinners that are going to be coming up, they're back. They're back. We're going to be out on the road again this year. Really looking forward to it. And I know I have them around. Here we go. So we start out our first one, and the tickets are not on sale yet. We're confirming everything, but write it down. Monday, June 6th. So we're about a month away. Monday, June 6th, we're going to be at Ironwood Golf Course in Waukesha, which is just about 20 minutes from here at the home bar. But Ironwood Golf Course. There's going to be Wednesday, June 22nd at Celebrations. We're coming to La Crosse. Wednesday, June 22nd. We're coming to La Crosse. Monday, June 27th, we have not ever been to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Cortesi's going to be down there. We've got Wednesday, August 17th, Cedar Creek Golf Course. Monday, August 29th. Gotta check on that one because I'm not sure of the location and specificity of the date. Hard for me to say. And then on Wednesday, September 7th, Pine Valley Golf Course. Monday, September 12th, Wissota High Shores in Chippewa Falls. We're going to be back there. And then Tuesday, September 13th, back to Celebrations in La Crosse. So quite a bit of traveling. That's just for the cigar dinners. We're also going to be heading up to a new sponsor of ours, which is Forgotten Fire Winery. We're going to be heading up there hopefully in the next few weeks, if not on a shorter date. But we're trying to get up there in the next couple of weeks to get up to one of our new sponsors, Forgotten Fire Winery. We were talking about winery and wine on the show a couple months ago, and all of this came up. So you want to stick with the hometown team, so to speak. You want to stick with right here in our own backyard. So Forgotten Fire Winery, right up in Peshtigo, just south of our good affiliate, Menominee Marinette, WMAM. We're going to head up there. And then obviously we're going to do another weekend stay at some point and head up to Four Seasons Island Resort. Going to be traveling there. We got a couple of motorcycle rides, some golf tournaments that we're playing in. So all over the place. Look for us. And the other aspect of this, and I just got an email today, said, hey, are you going to be out and about doing any of the Northwoods League games this year? Hey, I love Wausau, and I love the Woodchucks and the renovation they did to that new stadium. They're putting the Dockhounds in place as we speak out in Oconomowoc. I love heading up to La Crosse for the Loggers. Great time there as well. Green Bay, we're going to be back in the Green Bay market relatively soon. So look for that. Look forward to that. Hint, hint. There's the Kingfish down in Kenosha, the Chinooks in Sheboygan, up in really the Mequon area. But so many places. I love the Northwoods League. So if you want us to come out, get a hold of us, and we'd love to come out and do some shows out in those areas as well at many of our affiliates. So, and we got golf tournaments, the Rice Lake Golf Tournament, going to be doing some stuff in Eau Claire eventually as well. So there we go. We got a lot of travel coming up this season. So look for us. This is from our buddy Dave. So what do you think of Dan Orlovsky and the Four Letter Network grading the Packers draft as a WTF? I get it. How do I put this? Dan Orlovsky is sitting there saying, you have 2 years of Aaron Rodgers. Go all in. There is no tomorrow. You don't have anything in Jordan Love. Everybody's seen it. We've seen it. You've seen it. Unless he takes some just exponentially huge leap this season and he comes out and sets the world on fire in the preseason, you don't have anything. So now there is no tomorrow. This is where you have, the drop in the sounder of Apollo Creed yelling at Rocky going, there is no tomorrow. There isn't. You got maybe 2 years. 3 if you're lucky, before all this seems to come crashing down. So he is saying you had all these wide receivers there. You needed wide receivers. You needed weapons. Your defense is good. It's not great, but it's good enough to get you there, and your defense only gave up 10 points in the postseason. That's it. It's not your defense that's the problem. Yes, you got better, but it's not your defense that's the problem. What your problem is you don't have anybody to throw to for Aaron Rodgers. This is Dan Orlovsky. Funny you should ask, on the ESPN network.
Orlovsky, what grade do you give the Packers?
I'm going WTF plus. I'm like, what the fudge plus? Like, listen, the plus becomes you're a better football team. I'm with that. You got good football players, a great defense from Georgia. Awesome. I don't think you're any closer to winning Super Bowl than I did when you started this draft. We all know what the flaws of this football team were, or where the needs of this football team were, given where they were last year and then the loss of Devontae Adams. You're not going to win the Super Bowl because your defense goes from top 10 to second. You're not going to win the Super Bowl because you give up 13 points in the playoffs, and this time you'll give up 10. They needed skill position help. I thought they needed to draft 2 receivers early or make a move to go get 1, and they didn't do either of that.
There you go. That's Dan Orlovsky talking about what the Packers needed in his eyes and in what the Packers did not do and the problem with it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Agree? Disagree? You can give us your thoughts on that. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back, continue to talk some Packers, but I would be remiss if I didn't go back on what I had said last week, address it, and then move forward. Because as many of you hit me up yesterday to say, what do you think now? And I'll give you some props. But I got to tell you what I'm talking about when we come back. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We continue on. I want to remind you, if you're going to do some grilling, maybe just get stocked up for the rest of the week, or maybe you're getting ready for a good tailgate. You're going to head down to the ballpark, whether it's tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the day game on Thursday, whatever it may be. Go to Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha. Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha. And you can get yourself some of the ribs on a stick, Al Capone, sausage, or the roast. Want to make it individually? You can. They also do catering. So if you got, like, say, a golf event coming up, or some kind of an outdoor event happening, you got a motorcycle ride that's going to end somewhere, whatever. They do a lot of catering as well. So if you're looking for a really good sustenance meat butcher, your hometown butcher, that's our friends Paul, Robert, and the gang over at Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha. That is Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. Again, Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. 877-867-1670. All right, I got to say this. Okay, here we go. Last week, when Chris Middleton went down, I said, boy, Bucks played some good basketball without Chris Middleton. But come on. They were expected to win. You know, it was the Bulls. The Bulls hadn't really taken that next step yet. You got to walk before you can run, you know, and the Bulls did not shoot well. And I said, you know, you run into this good shooting team that can hit from the outside, and the Celtics are so much better from the outside than what the Chicago Bulls are. And the Bucks without Chris Middleton, kind of the straw that stirs the drink. I just don't know. I got a bad feeling about this. But I said, look, if you can steal game one, that changes things. That changes things, okay? But didn't think it could happen. So I come in today. I sit here, and the Bucks early on looked like they were just kind of going through a feeling out process. It was like two boxers, you know, jab, jab, take a big swing, jab, jab, take a swing, jab, try to land something, jab, you know, and then the Bucks started figuring it out. Defense on the inside, keep the elbows in, hit, block, 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 block. You know, just the presence of Bobby Portis, Giannis and Brook Lopez down low and in the paint kept the Celtics out on the perimeter. There were times where the Bucks didn't even defend the perimeter. Now, remember, they're one of the worst three-point defensive teams in the league, but they will force you outside because of their inside presence, okay? So they'll force you outside. And they were leaving the Celtics wide open. Nobody was hitting. So you can look at it and say, on one hand, you know what? Bucks didn't play great defense, but they did good enough, blah, blah, blah. But the Celtics just missed shots. If they miss shots like that, then they'll lose. But if they don't miss those shots, they're winning that game easy. I don't know if I believe that. The Celtics don't have an answer for Giannis, who just beat their ass, just whooped them. That was it. He said, inside, no problem. You collapse 3, I'll take him. You collapse 2, I'll take him. You collapse 1, I'll dominate. Then Grayson Allen has stepped up. Pat Connaughton has stepped up. Drew Holiday has stepped up. Hell, Bobby Portis hit one from the outside, stepped up. Brook Lopez didn't even get in the mix from the outside. They didn't need it. Giannis was on the inside. Brook Lopez was the rim protector down low. And then from the outside, you had the other guys hitting. They didn't have a problem bringing the ball up the floor. As much as there was this, and I've never been this Cash Money fan, because Cash Money comes and goes, okay? One night he'll give you the buzzer beater. The next 2, 3, 4 nights, he just kind of quietly does his thing. But I've always said he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Now, man, this team has just been on a tirade since Chris Middleton went down. Led by Giannis, yes. Do I think that they can win a championship without Chris Middleton at all? No. But yesterday was an emphatic stamp on this series early. It was an initial punch early that I did not see coming. I thought this team would just kind of maybe lose game 1 like they've done in the past, regroup, come back strong, maybe have a good showing in game 2, possibly lose game 2, and then come back to the Fiserv Forum and hope that you get some more acknowledgement out of Chris Middleton that, yeah, I'm going to be ready to go back. Now, we find out today, Chris Middleton not going to be in this series. That was the word that came out earlier today. Chris Middleton most likely not going to play in this series. Going to be reevaluated, but most likely not going to be playing in this series. Okay. Are you good with that? I'm good with that. Not that I think Chris Middleton's a bad player, because I don't. But if this team plays that same style of defense, that's what they're winning with. Transition defense. And they hadn't played this style of defense for about half a season. And then it started to kind of come on, and then the return of Brook Lopez has just changed the look of this team defensively. So I have to kind of come in here today, eat a little crow. It's not that I thought the Bucks would lose the series, because I said I think it's going to go 7 games. But I really thought, defensively speaking, the Bucks just couldn't defend the 3, and they weren't going to be very good at all. And Boston was just going to just shoot them to death from the outside, and that was going to be the end of it. And boy, I was wrong. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free. 877-867-1670. The Honey Badger is going home. Tyrann Mathieu. According to many, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport and company, and Mike Triplett as well, the Saints have agreed to a contract with the all-pro defensive back Honey Badger. A source confirming the Honey Badger grew up in New Orleans, started LSU, and the Honey Badger is now coming home. There you go. That's a little bit of breaking news. Can he play quarterback too? He cannot. I don't know what he's going to do to bolster that team other than just be what you be. But I don't know if, unless Jameis Winston went to some kind of a mountaintop to get guru teaching, maybe the Dalai Lama would speak to him the way he spoke to Aaron Rodgers, I guess, not to throw the ball into harm's way. Maybe they got a legitimate shot, because let's face it, Jameis Winston got a good arm. And for as many interceptions as he throws touchdowns too. And he can throw for a ton of yards. It's not like they don't have any weapons. But they're trying to bolster their defense as well. And they jumped up to get they jumped up in the NFL draft as well early on in this one. The Saints did. Saints went up and got Chris Olave out of Ohio State. And then they proceeded to kind of bolster the defense, and now they're doing it again with bringing back the Honey Badger. So, yeah, I not to say that I think they're going to all of a sudden win the division, but doing a lot of things in the right direction and through just an unbelievable amount of cap casualty for that team, as strapped as they are. 877-867-1670. So, agree, disagree. We're talking Badgers, or excuse me, we're talking Bucks. We're also talking some Packers football. Let's go back to the phone calls, talk to Joe. Joe, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, you know what Mel Kiper this morning said? I'm stunned that the Bucks beat the Celtics.
I think a lot of people are.
I'm wondering if Stephen A. Smith is getting worried.
That he's going to have to come back to Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he's getting a little bit nervous. I did not see what he had to say today, to be honest with you, because we go on the air same time that First Take goes on, but I didn't see what he had to say.
And it's got a stat about the Brewers.
Sure, go ahead.
I went through all the OPS, the 150 listings of the OPS.
Yeah.
And the Brewers had 3 players in there. The highest one was 48. And you're still tied at Saturday. When I looked, they're still tied for the Mets with the best record in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
So their pitching has got to be that good.
Their pitching's outstanding, and their pitching has been. And even yesterday, their pitching was good, right? I mean, the pitching wasn't bad. It was just they didn't get it. They didn't bring in a run. You're not going to win that way.
You're not going to win with one hit.
Nope. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yesterday was a good day for the Brewers. I just, obviously not being able to, only 3 hits total on the day. Corbin Burns takes the loss, but Corbin Burns, God, appreciate the phone call, by the way. Corbin Burns, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. The 1 long ball obviously, cost him, but he's sitting there with an ERA of 1.93, and his record on the season is 1-1. That's a damn shame. Now, I'm not going to complain too much because the Brewers are 15-8, 7-4 at home. They lead the division. So I'm not going to complain an overwhelming amount. But, the New York Mets 16-7, Brewers 15-8. Brewers are 2 games above the Cardinals right now in the standings. But we saw a resurgence of the bats on Friday and Saturday. So I'm not overly complaining. I just feel bad for Corbin Burns because he's out there he's just giving it. You just want to see this guy when he pitches like that. You just want to see him get the wins that he so richly deserves. It's like when he and Woodruff go to the hill, they just don't score runs. It's painful. 877-867-1670. 867-1670. Hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this. That is CunisRV.com, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. And whether it's a motorhome, a fifth wheel, a camper van, travel trailer, Cunis got you covered, representing America's most reliable and best-selling RV and camper brands, such as Jayco, Dutchman, Forest River. Forest River is beautiful. Nexus, Thor, Heartland. There's Keystone, Winnebago, Redwood, Sunset Trail, Cruiser. You name it. They carry it. Beautiful RVs, camper vans, mini motorhomes, all that kind of stuff. Stop in any one of their many now growing throughout the state of Wisconsin and beyond the borders locations. You can take advantage of the summer pricing, the deals that are coming up, the APR financing while it's still low. Get in now. And they also offer top dollar for your trade and consignment. And if you're within 50 miles of a dealership, they'll come and get it, not charge you for it. No, let them deal with the hassle of showing it, having people kick the tires, walk through it, so to speak. No, they'll take care of it. Go to Cunis, Kunes, CunisRV.com. That is CunisRV.com. There you go. What else do we have here? Talking Brewers baseball. If they would have bunted with 2 on, nobody out in the 8th inning, that game may have turned out a little bit differently. Mike says, don't forget about the more breaking news. Urias is back. Yes. Saw that this morning. Saw that about the return of Luis Urias. And that just solidifies your infield even better than what it was. George says, I think the gamesmanship on the Bucks part with Chris Middleton, I'm hoping he'll be ready for game 5 or 6 at the latest. Bucks didn't play their game in the first quarter. Boston's a little hobbled. See if that plays a part of this. Well, I'm not, they were making excuses this morning. Well, Smart went down with that quad contusion or thigh contusion. And then he had that shoulder issue early on and he's got beat up. Well, so what? Chris Middleton's beat up. Giannis said he feels beat up after the game, but you got to play physical, because it's the postseason. I 100% agree. 100% agree. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Let's do it. Let's go to Mike listening to us in West Dallas. Mike, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great, man. What you thinking?
Good. Yeah, I wanted to comment on the Packers draft. And by the way, great Bucks win yesterday.
Yes.
So overall, I think the Packers did really well. I like the Walker pick. I think he's going to allow them to play 2 linebackers in that nickel defense, which is really going to help their run game. That was kind of a weakness last season. But defensively, they should be top 5 this year. My only gripe is I really wish they would have drafted 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. I love the Watson pick. I think he has DK Metcalf-like potential, written all over him. But when you look at the NFC, the teams like the Bucks, the Rams, all those teams, they have 2 playmakers at wide receiver. I think, with Watson, we kind of have 1.5. We got him, and then we got a bunch of good role players, but I think we're kind of missing that extra piece offensively. Who
did you, let me ask you this, Mike, real quick. Who did you have your eye on in that first round that you would have gone up for?
So I think it would have been too expensive. I would have preferred, if it was me, I would have preferred they drafted Watson at 28. And then at 53, they take a guy like Sky Moore or Alec Pierce, or even, trade up a couple picks to do that. That's what I would have done if I were them. But I would love to see them sign a guy like Jarvis Landry to be that number 2 option, because I think he's just better overall than a guy like Cobb or Lazard. I think he just gives you more. And I don't think he's going to cost that much. There's no way he's getting the $20 million that he's looking for.
Right.
In this, and especially all the teams that needed wide receivers, a lot of them got their guys in the draft already. So I'd love to see a Landry or another piece on offense. But overall, love the draft, and they're a Super Bowl caliber team. So.
See, I don't personally think that they're done. I think there's going to be another move made. So you may get your wish via another veteran rather than having another draft choice come into this thing. And Mike, appreciate the phone call, listening to us in West Dallas. By the way, if you're going to be in West Dallas, you got to go to the Wrestling Taco on 84th Street, just south in West Dallas, just south of the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Tell Marcus and Nicole and everybody down there, how we looking? There you go. Coming up after the top of the hour, Mike Renner from Pro Football Focus is going to be joining us, so don't go anywhere. We're going to continue to break it down. Here's the thing. I was really surprised that Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore all went 20, 21, 22. I was a little surprised at that. When you started seeing the wide receivers, Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky went 11th, 43rd overall. John Mechie out of Alabama went 44th overall. Then you saw the Tyquan Thornton, the kid out of Baylor. He ended up going to the Patriots at 50th overall. I was surprised those three guys went ahead of Pickens and Pierce and Moore. I was a little bit surprised at that. But I think the Packers did pretty well for what, I mean, to get at number 34, the second overall pick in the second round of the draft, to get Christian Watson to move up to do it. I thought for the value, I thought that was a good pick. I really did. I like that. 877-867-1670. Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus, going to join us coming up after the top of the hour. We'll get his thoughts on the depth of this team. This is Ronald says, why does everybody wish they would have drafted one of the hype receivers? Nothing is a guarantee when transitioning to the NFL, which that is true. That is true. And again, it's you're betting on somebody's future without having them prove it other than in a lower level. I understand that. Darren says, I think Middleton's great. The offense seems to have good flow without him. Sometimes Chris can get into a bunch of the one-on-ones. I still think that we need him back during the run, but that's just my observation. Going back to saying you hope that Middleton's back in game 5 or game 6. I don't know. I just by the way it sounded today, it sounded like they were basically laying down, I don't want to say 100% ruling him out, but kind of ruling him out for the Celtics series. Kind of ruling him out, saying, yeah, they didn't think that he would be back for this Celtics series. So it's, and again, I still think that he's an unbelievably quality player. And I think that he adds a lot to this team, but not going to be there tomorrow night, not going to be there on Saturday. By the way, Saturday night and Monday night of next week, then this weekend and next weekend, going to be busy. 2:30 tip time on ABC this Saturday from the Fiserv Forum. And then again, 6:30 on TNT Monday night. Then they go back to Boston should they need it. And that'll be on Wednesday, May 11th, Friday, May 13th, and then Sunday, May 15th. So that'll be when that second round wraps up. Whether or not they need all those games, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know if by May 15th, Middleton's even going to be back yet. We'll see. So Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus, going to join us coming up in the next hour and right here after the top of the hour. And we'll get his thoughts as to what he puts the value at of this team and what the Packers did in comparison to other teams in the NFL draft. So we'll get into all of that coming up. So it was great to have Mike join us today. Obviously, John Cooper, Connor Orr, then at the bottom of the next hour, going to be joining us from Sports Illustrated. We'll get his thoughts as well. And then Mike Clemons going to join us in the final hour of the show. Talking Bucks, talking Brewers. Brewers get 2 out of 3 over the weekend. Off day today. Cincinnati comes to call in starting tomorrow. And then you've got to the Packers in the NFL draft. You're going to get into the mini camps coming up. Aaron Rodgers says he needs to work with these young guys. Wants to be there. That's good news. Got a lot going on. Good stuff. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this. Can't believe we're through 2 hours already. Hour number 3 is upon us. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. As we get back at it, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mail Medical. New Mail, not only can they help you out with ED, doesn't matter the age that you are or anything like that. Just, I'm telling you, 98% success rate. Stop in and see them. They can help you out. I'm heading over there today. They have got some new, we'll say, programs, and I want to get a look at them. So whenever I do, reads for a lot of our sponsors, it's because I either use it, know the people there, whatever. So I'm going to go see Doc Tim today. And they got some new things that they're doing because the markets continue to shift and they keep getting more innovative things given to them as far as technology goes to be able to, and the advancement of medicine to be able to help you. So one of the things that they called me and they said, hey, we've got some new stuff for weight loss and for weight management and such, not only low T treatments to give you more energy and boost the mental clarity and such, but also to help you drop some pounds. And I said, you know what? Got to see it. I want to go see it. So we're going to stop over there today. If you want to check it out for yourself, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Good people over there. Doc Tim, Carlos, everybody, just great people. Again, 414-455-4451, 414-455-4451. We're going to talk with Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus, coming up here momentarily. We'll get his thoughts on what the Green Bay Packers did in the draft. Do you like it? Do you not like it? How does he feel it compares to the rest of the NFC North and the rest of the National Football League? And are the Packers a true Super Bowl contender, or are they still missing that key cog? Landoc hits me up over on Twitter, says, did you see this? So, yeah, I'm glad the Packers didn't trade up in the draft. New Orleans Saints essentially traded picks 98, 101, 120, and the 2023 first-round draft choice and a 2024 second-rounder for Chris Olave. That's what they ended up giving up totally for Chris Olave. It's a lot. And Goody's right. It's a lot of draft capital. That's a lot. 877-867-1670. This was from Mark. Mark says, I think Goody did a great job. It's still in Goody we trust. I'm with you, though. I feel that they are going to make a deal for another veteran wide receiver at some point. I think you have to get Jair settled first. Can you still redo Lowry's deal and then look for some of the June 1st cut downs? Yes, to answer your question, you would hope that they would redo Jair's deal. Now, the problem is that once Ward ended up signing for what he did over in Cleveland, the price went up exponentially for a guy like Jair. 877-867-1670. Let's hit us up. Let's do this. Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus, joining us on the hotline, all set. So, Mike, first of all, let me ask you, just when you start to do grades and you start to look at this and say, okay, who came out ahead? Did the Green Bay Packers do their due diligence and perform extremely well in the NFL draft?
I was a big fan of their haul, especially on day 3. Honestly, they used the PFF board in some of their day 3 selections. They got the top guy available for 3 straight picks there, but the one kind of thing keeping it is that they, 2 picks for 1 wide receiver was the day 2 trade was just, I thought there was a lot of guys who were talented on day 2 at the receiver position that, they don't just need one, they need a handful of wide receivers. So that was the one that probably holding it from, an A+ draft.
So give me your thoughts. Let's start with Christian Watson, because the Packers take 2 defensive players in that first round, which everybody kind of has the consensus that they're pretty damn good players and they really bolstered the depth of their defense. And then Christian Watson was sitting there. They didn't have to give up a ton to get him. Give me your thoughts on Christian Watson.
Yeah, so I think he's an insane athlete, quite obviously. I mean, tested that way at the combine. And for a guy that size, I don't think you have a lot of the same worries. He's very flexible and has ridiculous ability in what he could be. But I do just worry about his hands. His hands were bad, flat out every single year there. Even at the Senior Bowl, I had a few drops. He had the highest drop rate of any of the wide receivers taken in this class, which that's just worrisome projecting the next level because it gets more difficult when you got someone with the speed of Aaron Rodgers throwing it at you.
Let me ask you this. For guys that come into the draft that have hand issues, Give me your thoughts on the correctability, because that's something obviously over time you watch. So give me your thoughts on the correctability of, to me, I mean, like James Jones came into the league, he had some drops, and then he ended up going back to one of his high school coaches who kind of gave him some common sense thought, and all of a sudden became one of the better wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers. Is his hands correctable?
Yeah, it's not set in stone. It's obviously something that has improved. We've seen guys do it. But I do just worry with how, at his age, 23 years old already, if he's ever going to have good hands, at that size. And for the type of wide receiver he is, I think guys that really stand out, like the Packers have kind of not cared about hands. Like Jamon Moore had awful hands coming in the NFL. Obviously, he didn't work out. MVS is one who had serious drop issues in college coming in the NFL. Even Lazard did not have the greatest hands at Iowa State. I think all three of those guys were above 10% coming out of college. Not to the degree that Watson was over the course of his career. So still something to monitor. That was probably the reason I was lower on him than others. Yeah,
that was one of the things that I noted with many of the draft reports coming into this, that he did have a case of the drops, and they just called it concentration. The off in a distance stare. He's looking to run without the football, and thus he had some drops. Give me his downfield ability. Is he a guy that you can say, if you want to trust him on a 50-50 ball, can you go up and get it?
Yeah, I mean, he could really he could really jump. It's probably the biggest difference between him and basically what they have in that roster right now. Is he is a guy who could really go up and get it. Even Lazard's more of a ground player. Sammy Watkins at this point in his career isn't that type of guy, but Christian Watson, he has a massive catch radius. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest hands, but he can get to a lot of balls. So I think the only thing is just needs to get a little bit more physical, and obviously NFL game will really force you to do so.
So give me your thoughts on the Packers then first round. They go with defense. The top 6 wide receivers aren't there. They didn't want to spend the draft capital to jump up and get them. So they instead go to the defensive side of the football. Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, both of those guys off of a championship defense in Georgia. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, Wyatt was one of my favorite picks in the first round. He's a special athletic talent, and no surprise that they covet him in the first round because his get off, what he can do, and I think he's pretty NFL ready. Like, I think he makes an impact as a rookie. Big fan of that pick. And then Quay Walker was the guy I was touting throughout the process. It's like, he's going to go in the first round. He's that talented athletically. And the comp for him in the draft guide, ironically, was actually Devondre Campbell, just because just moves so fluidly for a guy that size, so athletic, like almost like the inverse of a tight end for a defense, and just so sound as a tackler. Maybe he won't have the best highlight reel. He won't make a ton of plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage, but just will never be out of place, and will never be the guy responsible for a big play. So that's something that they really had to fight against schematically last year, was their second linebacker position. That's obviously why they coveted him so highly.
The job that they had done on the offensive line, Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker, adding that depth. They already had Josh Nyman back there, Jake Hansen back there, Cole Van Lannon back there, but they needed more of a true right tackle. Zach Tom might be that guy. Sean Ryan, he seems to be a guy that's very stout on the interior line. Give me your thoughts on the bolstering the offensive line.
Yeah, the Ryan pick, he's a developmental guy, but as far as developmental traits at guard go, he's a freak. I mean, I said on the draft show, but his broad jump and vertical jump, the only other player to beat him in both of those at the combine that weighed over 320 pounds in NFL history along the offensive line is Tristan Wirfs. So that's the kind of company he's in physically and what he brings to the table. And the young guy, obviously a true junior coming out. So a lot to work with there. It would not surprise me if he steals away one of the starting guard spots this upcoming season. And then Tom, probably your swing tackle, swing versatility. You can play pretty much any offensive line position. But to me, I'm not going to put this on him wholesale, but it reminds me a lot of David Bakhtiari coming out, where really the knock on him is just play strength. Is can he hold up to bull rushes? And as we saw, Bakhtiari, remade his body, got a lot stronger, got a lot bigger. And now he's one of the best pass protecting attackers in the NFL. To me, Tom could have a similar career arc in that all he really just needs to do is get stronger because his hand usage is great. His ability to mirror edge rushes is outstanding. I mean, he locked down Jermaine Johnson in their matchup this past year, but it's just when guys get their hands on him, they can control him. So that's the biggest worry with him, but he'll have some time to develop. And truthfully, that's one of my favorite picks of the Packers draft.
So as you look at the rest of this draft, so what did you take away overall from the draft in general?
I think they really wanted to. One of my biggest takeaways was that they just really wanted to go defense. They really wanted to make this defense an unstoppable unit and kind of believe that Aaron Rodgers can piece together whatever receiving core they got, that they didn't sell out to appease him and trusted kind of the process. Like they didn't waver whatsoever from kind of the tenets that they believe in drafting high-end athletes. So I thought it was definitely a business as usual draft, but at least they didn't, take a running back or take Aaron Rodgers' placement again.
Yeah, well, thank God for that. No doubt. With some of the guys that are sitting out there, Jarvis Landry still sitting out there and OBJ still sitting out there, there's even trade possibility. I don't think the Packers are done. I still think that there might be another quarterback, even after the June 1st cutdown days. There might be another, it's not quarterback, but wide receiver that this team could be looking for. Is there, in your eyes, a veteran fit that could be in Green Bay's future before they head to training camp?
Yeah, the one that makes the most sense is Jarvis Landry, just from the offensive fit, kind of what they don't have. I think he would make a ton of sense now. I think he wants a lot of money is the only other problem there. So depending on if that's the case or not, if he doesn't, if you're looking for a guy who's maybe more ring chasing, I think Julio Jones would also be a fit, even though he is, on the downside of his career and, not getting any more athletic. You still had a pretty high bar for him for his fall. Like even 75% of prime Julio Jones is still a good receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Before I let you go, so there was a couple of teams that obviously were mentioned highly after day one. You look at the Jets, you look at the Giants, you look at what Kansas City did. Tampa Bay traded out. So there were some teams that didn't even have picks in that first round. Give me your thoughts on really who was that team that you kind of circled and said, damn, they had a really good draft.
It was the Chiefs. They really, truthfully, I've never seen. So I've been doing our draft board for 4 years now. I've never seen anyone stick to the draft board the way they did. Four of their first 5 picks were the highest ranked guy on the PFF draft board, which and for that to be pick 21, sometimes that happens at the very top of the draft because obviously, it can be chalky, but it was picks 21, 30, and they were using the PFF draft board with Sky Moore, Leo Chanel, Trent McDuffie, and George Karlaftis. All those guys were top ranked at the time. So it was pretty insane to see. So obviously when that's the case, we're going to say you had a pretty good draft.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. Mike, we'll get you on soon, okay? Appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. There you go, Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus. You can get him at PFF_Mike, at PFF_Mike, at PFF_Mike. Find him there. Jason says, don't worry about the drops. North Dakota State wasn't a passing team, so the high percentage of drops is skewed. Cheddar Ball says the exact opposite. How many drops will it take before Rodgers just doesn't trust him? Well, MVS, he didn't have a ton of drops, but he had some pretty key drops, either to move the sticks for first downs or drops that he used his speed and became so wide open that had he caught the ball, he'd probably still be running. And there was a few drops along the way. And those drops in certain positions, as far as stick out in your memory, the perception becomes reality. And he ended up having more than a few drops, his fair share of drops. And that's what a lot of people remember about MVS. So I don't, with Christian Watson coming out of North Dakota State, I don't have this high level of worry when it comes to the drops, but I will say drops a lot of the time are concentration. You have to figure out a way mentally to get to a kid, to get them to concentrate on catching the football first. There's different ways to do it. One is just you're harping on the guy. You're just screaming and yelling. Another way is positive reinforcement. Then there's negative reinforcement. You can also go in the direction of, hey, Every time you have a drop, you're going to take off and run. You don't want to do it, but you're going to do it. Now it's difficult because you can't mess with their money. You can't mess with them physicality wise. There's only so many things you can do that the Players Association is going to allow you to do because of all the collective bargaining crap. But there's ways to get around that. You got to get to a guy to say, dude, look, your concentration is key. You can get open. That's great. But if you can't catch a football, it doesn't matter. There needs to be an expression to where he gets a concentration on the football that's better. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Again, 877-867-1670. We're going to come back. Bottom of the hour. Don't forget Connor Moore, Sports Illustrated, going to be joining us. We'll talk with him, get his thoughts on this draft. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next. Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show. We keep it going. Yeah, we do. Keep it going. Thanks for taking a listen to us, and we certainly appreciate you being here in so many different ways. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water. Sloppy Joe's out in Hubertus, just east of Holy Hill. Great food, and that is what a true Wisconsin bar is kind of like. Guaranteed. Walk in that place, you love it. Joe and Ellen Hennis do a fantastic job, and also with Smoke on the Water out on Okachi Lake, where if you're going to out do a little boating, maybe you pull up to one of their docks, jump off, go in and get a bite to eat, a couple of cocktails, whatever it happens to be. Go out there and catch a game. They have big screens everywhere, or just go and get some good food and listen to some good music. Either way, we saw Joe and Ellen this past weekend at the fundraiser at the Golden Mast on Saturday night, and go out and say hi to them. Say thanks to them. Good people. That is Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water. Both places you can find with some good eats and some good people there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Mark says, so Christian Yelich started hitting the ball this weekend. Do you feel confident that he is back? No. I mean, it's simple. No. I mean, 2 games does not a season make. And I can't say, it's just like when he hit the grand slam and everybody went, oh, you were talking about it. Now he's hitting the ball. That's a big booming home run. Told you so. No. And then after that, it was nothing. Yeah, Christian Yelich boosted his average over the weekend. Love it. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. The fact that, they're bringing Urias back. They're getting stronger. They had a good batting weekend. Willie Adames got his batting average up. Andrew McCutchen continues to play good baseball. Christian Yelich is no longer hitting in the 180 range. He's now up to 218 on the season. Got another dinger. So, I mean, in that realm, things are good. Hopefully he's ready to go. Hopefully that's the beginning of bigger and better things. Hunter Renfro's back up to 244. Colton Wong back up to the 200 mark. Remember, last we spoke was the team, the majority of those guys were hitting under 200. Now they're all either 200 or better. So there you go. Steve says, any info come in on your bird? No, and she's not there. If you're watching on the Bud Light live stream and you're looking at the view right now and the patio door off to the top right, mid right-hand side of the screen, she will sit on that sill out in front of the door and peck at the window. She wants to come in the house. But up above there, where the downspout meets the house, is where she usually builds her nest. And when I left to go to Minneapolis last week on Monday, there was a nest there. When I came back, there wasn't. And now I don't know if she's just trying to find the babies or what, but her nest isn't there, and she's been dropping off stuff on the window on the screen door sill to like build a nest. But she's just sitting there, and she just flies and pecks at the window and at the door all day long. And then when I open the door, she flies in, and because I let her in the house, flies in, looks around, kind of looks as if she's looking for something, and then hops back out, And no word on the bird. The bird. The bird is a word. No, nothing on the bird. Nothing on the bird right now. Nobody's figured it out. I don't know why she's doing it. I will say one thing, though. I can't wait for the pressure washer to be fixed, because once that's fixed, I can finally clean the bird poop off. She's been in frantic mode in front of that window, and wow, all the stuff that one little bird can do. Holy mackerel. 877-867-1670. Hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Mark says the Brewers are playing extremely good baseball right now. I'm excited because once they put the offense together, look out. This is going to be the team to beat in the National League this year. I firmly believe that. I hope you're right. I completely hope you're right. Yesterday, not a great day at the plate. Plated 9 runs on Saturday, and then again, they spanked them with 11 runs on Friday night. Friday night, everybody was getting into the mix, which was good to see. Willie Adames goes 2 for 5, even at Christian Yelich, as I had mentioned. He 1 for 3, couple of RBIs in that one. Solid day. McCutchen went yard in that game. Yelich went yard in that game. Yelich got his second in the 5th inning off of Hendricks with 1 out and 1 on. So good to see him get off the schneid there.
I still have that bet written down, Bill.
What's that? The 15 or less?
On April 18th, yeah. I have Yelich hitting at least 15, or maybe over 15.
You got him at over 15. I got him at 15 or less.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Okay. So, well, he's got 3 now. He's got 3. You'll take the little power surges here and there. Nothing wrong with that. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Yelich, again, 3 for 5 on Saturday. 3 for 5, couple of RBI, scored a couple of times. And again, another home run. He homered on Friday, homered on Saturday. Man, that'd be huge if he could just kind of bust out of this thing and really start to pour it on. That'd be fantastic. And Lauer pitched a solid game in that contest, by the way. We didn't even talk about Eric Lauer, but Eric Lauer, 7 strong. And I think he had 11 strikeouts and only 1 walk. Much like yesterday, you had Corbin Burns. He ended up throwing 10 strikeouts and a walk. Eric Lauer had 11 and a walk and only 1 earned run. And then after that, they closed it out. 877-867-1670. So good stuff for the Brewers over the weekend. Really good stuff for the Brewers over the weekend. And they just continue to win. 15 wins on the season, leading the division right now, second best record in baseball. Albeit, though, when you think about it, the Yankees have been on a tear. The Yankees also now 16 wins. And a little bit surprisingly anyway, only a game and a half back over there in the American League East with 15 wins on the season is the Toronto Blue Jays. And Ohtani and company for the LA Angels, they also have 15 wins. They're 15-8. So you got the Yankees right now leading by a game and a half in the East. They have now won 9 straight. 9 straight. They were 7-6 when this run began. Only a game over 500 since then. They've reeled off 9 straight. Kudos to them. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back and talk coming up here just a little bit with Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated. He'll join us and give us his thoughts on the Green Bay Packers and the draft for the Green Bay Packers. Hey, the Four Seasons Island Resort, they have got a Mardi Gras party coming up this weekend. Mardi Gras coming. I can't believe, or not Mardi Gras, Cinco de Mayo. Duh, I'm an idiot. Cinco de Mayo coming up this weekend. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they got special meal prep, special menus and such, special drink prices. But get a hold of our friends over there at the Four Seasons Island Resort and to see everything that they have to offer. They got a lot of specials on room rates and such going on right now as well. But make sure you get a hold of them and find out more about our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort. TheFourSeasonsWI.com. That's TheFourSeasonsWI.com. Again, TheFourSeasonsWI.com. Get a hold of them and see everything they have going on. Good stuff from our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort. Get a hold of Barb, too, because right now they have one of those specials and where you call up and you say you heard it here on the Bill Michaels Show, and you go to Barb, B-A-R-B, at TheFourSeasonsWI.com, or just call up there and get a hold of them, and she can give you the Bill Michaels special. Whatever it happens to be today, I don't even know, but they got a great Mardi Gras, or I keep saying Mardi Gras, a great Cinco de Mayo thing going on up there this coming week. A little bit later on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But get a hold of Barb, 715-324-5800. 715-324-5800. That's the Four Seasons Island Resort up in Pembine, Wisconsin. Beautiful. And the golf course is now opening up, too. That's the other good thing. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. Welcome back. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. We're here and due in part because of our fine sponsors that take care of us, and one of those being our friends at Boondocks Barbecue and Brew. Had a good time with them on Sunday night or Saturday night as well. So thanks to Tom and Stacy and everybody. And if you're going to be out in the Oconomowoc area on Highway K, great food, but just a great atmosphere. Really a fun place to go. And if you're going to do some riding this year, they do the smoker that they take out on the road. They have the food truck. So if you're looking for an event to be catered, or if they're going to expand that big deck that they have around the place, one of those old country style buildings, stop in and you can do some riding out there. TVs are on the outside, tables are on the outside. Great place to just stop and rest a little bit and take a load off. Let's do this. Let's get back to it. Connor Orr from SI going to be joining us on the hotline and talking a little NFL draft. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. So you wrote a little bit about kind of grading out the NFL draft. Let's first start with the Green Bay Packers and give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts and your perspective on how you think they did.
I thought they did incredibly well. I mean, I love their first round. I think they solidified their defense, and I think it hopefully raises awareness of just what an incorrect narrative I think it's been, that just because they don't draft a wide receiver, it doesn't mean they're not helping Aaron Rodgers. A really good defense helps the quarterback more than almost anything else that you can possibly put on the field. And so I think they did a really good job. I think they spent the capital really wisely. And I think the receiver they did get is pretty darn good.
So you talk about Christian Watson. Let's start there. The obvious knock on him, we were just talking about this earlier, is that he has some drops. And drops, they always look at the physical attributes and say, well, this guy can get downfield, he can go up and get a ball, he's got great vertical leap and all that, but how are his hands? And if his hands don't catch a football, he doesn't do us any good. Are drops correctable?
Drops are correctable to a certain extent, but what you want from him in an offense is to be able to create the illusion that he's going to make big plays downfield, right? I mean, what the Packers do is, a lot of the stuff that they do is stagecraft, right? They want you to believe certain things are going to happen so that they can do the easier thing, right? And so bringing him in, I think, allows them the opportunity to kind of like Valdez-Scantling, right? It's just like, this guy's going to get downfield. He's going to cause mismatches. You're going to have to put another guy over there because what if I throw it? And I think he solves that problem. And yeah, I mean, I think drops are correctable, especially if, you get into practice with Aaron Rodgers, you work with them. I think those things come along with time.
So now you go to the defensive side of the football. You mentioned that. Let's start there. The 2 first-round picks. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to land, some of these Georgia guys, it's just that I've never seen a defense like this ever in college. I mean, it was just absolutely stunning. And I think, beefing up the interior, so many of these NFL teams are going to outside zone. It's going to be such a run-heavy league, I think, for the next 2 or 3 years. And so I think this was smart. I mean, it's just, it looks like they have an eye on the future, which I think is good. And not last year in particular, but I think the 2 years prior, to see them get gutted via the running game like they did deep in the playoffs, I think shows a little bit of self-scouting and self-evaluation on their end.
Then I want to look at the defense a little bit deeper, because they did pick up a couple other guys that can help them. They picked up, is it Ignagbare? Kingsley Ignagbare? How do you pronounce that name? Do you know off the top of your head? That's a different one. Ignagbare. Okay.
Yeah, so
between him and Jonathan Ford, I think both of those guys, they kind of solidify a little bit of the outside, but also the inside, with Ford being behind TJ Slayton to back up Kenny Clark.
Yeah, and we talked about Kingsley on our podcast. He was a player that we really liked and just unique. I mean, and I think that's part of the key too, right? Is like, you don't just want your stereotypical edge guy or whatever. I mean, you want stylistic compliments. You want guys who can rush in certain ways and do things differently. But he's just got such an interesting kind of moveset to him. The way that he gets to the quarterback is super efficient. And he can take on the run too. I mean, this guy is not afraid to stick his nose into into the backfield and go out and get guys. And I mean, this was not just against anybody. I mean, you watch him play against, the Georgias of the world, and he had some pretty darn good games there too.
The depth of the offensive line, because that was an issue coming in. Elton Jenkins, we all know, is a mauler. He's solid, but he's not going to be available for a while. Give me your thoughts on the offensive line picks.
Yeah, I think that, what's good about Green Bay, I mean, I've said this before, but it's like when Pittsburgh kind of drafts a wide receiver, right? It's just like they have who they have their measurables, right? They have their guys, and they have what they're supposed to look like. They alter it a little bit for different things schematically. But I will say this, it's funny, they drafted Zach Tom, and what we had said about him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago was he's going to be that consummate sort of, we thought Mike McDaniel maybe in the Dolphins, right? Because he needs that outside zone tackle. But Tom just moves so well. I mean, he's just so agile and so athletic. And so I think that was especially, a pick that I really liked for the Packers.
Packers did not get a tight end. Many thought they would. They've got Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, Dominic Daphne, Josiah DeGuara, all guys that can do that. Was there a necessity by the Packers to get a tight end?
I don't think so, and I think it depends on, so here's what I think is really interesting, right? Nathaniel Hackett leaves and goes to Denver and drafts one of the highest tight ends in the draft. But then the Packers sit out despite the fact that they need one, right? And so I thought it was really interesting, like whose evaluation on this tight end class is right. Going in, I think a lot of people thought that this was not a good tight end class. You're not going to get any high-end starting help. And I think that the Packers just saw that they had needs elsewhere. And especially when you have Mercedes Lewis, I think he does so much for your offense that people don't talk about. I think they're going to be okay.
And then you look at the rest of this, when you talk about some of the backups to the backups, I thought that depth-wise, they got exactly what they needed. Romeo Doubs, the wide receiver, Samori Toure, the other wide receiver, getting those guys in. It's kind of like, I said this earlier, it's kind of like the buckshot approach. You just throw as many things at the target as you can, and eventually something's going to stick. I get that sense, but I also feel that there is going to be another veteran wide receiver coming into the mix before it's all said and done because of all the movement that's gone on. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that since day one. All these Packer fans have kind of been so fatalistic about this, but I would ask anybody, right? What do you think Aaron Rodgers would rather at this point in his career? Do you think he'd rather a first-round pick that he's going to have to break in and teach him and make him do all the things that he wants to do? Or do you think that he wants veteran talent? That's all these guys. Every year we say, oh, these quarterbacks must be so mad that they didn't draft them receiving help. Unless you get Justin Jefferson or, 2014 Odell Beckham, like you're not helping anybody out. You're saddling them with a project that they have to work on, And I think that a lot of these quarterbacks prefer veteran talent, guys who are going to be where they're supposed to be and guys that they know are going to catch the balls they're supposed to catch.
So the discussion this morning has been whether or not the Green Bay Packers, one, got better, and two, in the urgency of the now. Are they a Super Bowl contending team? And I would say as it sits right now, I think they're a contender, but they're going to have a lot fall their way the way the team sits right now. I still feel that even with Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb being a veteran and Alan Lazard, they need another guy. They need another veteran. And then you take a guy like Christian Watson, put him in the mix, and then all of a sudden you get exponentially better. That's why I seem to think that there's going to be at least one more weapon coming into this Packers lineup before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think that you're looking at a situation where some of these teams might have just been waiting out the process. And now that everybody's resetting their boards and they're looking at what they have, some of these teams are like, okay, do I have a receiver I can trade? And I'm not saying, this is not, hopefully this doesn't get taken out of context, but like if you're the Commanders, for example, it's like, okay, we got a receiver. We have back-end insurance against if we can't get a deal done with Terry McLaurin, then we might as well get rid of him, And so right. I think there might be that thought process happening, not necessarily with the Commanders. So that's just an example of what might be going on around the NFL.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate it. And as they start to put this whole thing together, we're going to touch base back with you here, I'm sure, real soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Connor. Talk to you soon. There you go. Connor Orr, Sports Illustrated, MMQB, at Connor, CONNOR. Or excuse me, CONOR, or ORR. Got his stuff there. Good. Good stuff from Connor Orr. Thanks to him for being a part of the program as well. So when you go to Pro Football Focus, they talk about guys that when you look at some of the way too early to land with the next year's draft, they start to get into that. But there still seems to be, when I start to read this, the sense of urgency because, well, it's still very uncertain as to what Aaron Rodgers will do next year. But when you talk about the NFL draft, you would assume, at least I assume, that the Green Bay Packers are going to still have Aaron Rodgers around next year. I don't think as much as I want to say it's going to be a year-to-year thing, I really don't. I think it's the next 2 years. That's your window. That's what you're going to have. So I think that you're going to have Aaron Rodgers. So next year, they're already saying the same thing. It's already tight end, wide receiver, more weapons. If you win a championship this year, then you're making another run at it next year. And if you don't win it, then you're doing the extra thing to go out and get Aaron Rodgers exactly what he needs. But that's already the prediction coming out of way too early to start predicting the 2023 draft, but already coming out of Pro Football Focus. Let's do this. So we're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. Don't forget, coming up in the next hour, we're going to have our buddy Mike Clemons. He is going to join us as we continue on. The Bill Michaels Show rocks on right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Continue on. Tom from La Crosse, and it seems with the Packers' late round picks They drafted some special teams and keeping that in mind and backups to the backups and such. Nate says, does a wide receiver make Aaron Rodgers great, or does Aaron Rodgers make wide receivers great? I'm going to take a cop out here. I think it goes hand in hand. I think there's certain wide receivers that have just incredible talent. And what a good quarterback does, it accentuates that talent. Otherwise, every wide receiver working with that quarterback would be amazing. I think there are certain quarterbacks, like, okay, you take Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, you take the guys coming out of Cleveland, and they go to Cleveland and they have these great careers. They get to Cleveland and their numbers are down. They are considered, not happy. They don't feel like they're on the same page with Baker Mayfield. So the question is, are the wide receivers in the declining years of their ability, or is it Baker Mayfield who just doesn't get them the ball in an open window? Well, then Odell Beckham Jr. leaves and he goes to play with Matthew Stafford and he's all world again. Sometimes it is the quarterback. Sometimes it's the receiver. If you have a quarterback with really good wide receivers, the quarterback will be great. The quarterback will be great. And vice versa. But if you've got mediocre talent with a great quarterback, then that talent can become above average in a stable of good wideouts or what have you. Jerry Rice was great with Joe Montana, but was everybody else great? Certainly. You look at a guy like Dwight Clark, go back years, Dwight Clark, the tight end, was fantastic, but he was beyond the prototypical tight end at that point. He became a pass-catching tight end, which in that day and age was more run first. But he started to become a target for Joe Montana because Joe Montana could get him the ball. So I think you take great talent and you put it together and they do great things. But to say a quarterback makes others great, I think you take say Peyton Manning over the history of his career. He's made guys great because he's made them study. There's a certain level of leadership there. Make them study. Make them learn the position better and then go out and perform. Rodgers can do that too. But to take a guy like, say, Alan Lazard and make him great because he's a great quarterback, no. You're only going to then enhance the limit of a talent that you have. That's it. You're not going to make that talent better than what the talent is. It just doesn't happen. Not very often anyway. Hey, by the way, Ben, did you see Nick Foles is on the open market?
Yes, I did. The
Bears are cutting him loose.
They want to fix their culture by getting out the actual winners.
Yeah. So the Bears are releasing the quarterback Nick Foles. 100% Justin Fields now down there in Chicago. Just throwing it out there.
Did you notice the difference in how the Jets and Bears approached the draft? Two teams in very similar spots with young quarterbacks that have shown promise, but also struggled due to a lack of help around them.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets loaded up their team.
Yes.
I feel like the Bears did nothing.
I don't feel like the Bears did anything either. I agree with you. The Bears didn't do much of anything. Which is fine. Look, if the Bears toil away in anonymity, I also think the Bears know they are so far behind the eight ball right now. So far behind the eight ball. That Velsis Jones Jr., I think he's okay. Picked him up. What did they get him in the third round? I think is what they did.
Yeah.
But they needed secondary help. So getting two guys that Kyler Gordon and what was the other one with the weird last name? Brisker? Is it Brisker?
Jaquan Brisker.
Jaquan Brisker. They
Penn
picked
State.
those two guys up. They solidified their safety position, which they really haven't done by most stretch that they let go of Adrian Amos. And when he ended up coming to the Green Bay Packers. And then Kyler Gordon, I think, is solid. I don't know how good he's going to be in that secondary, but they seem to like him and had a lot of good things. And out of Washington, obviously, he plays in that Pac-12 where they love to throw the ball all over the joint. So he certainly has had experience in coverage, zone coverage mainly, but coverage. So they didn't do bad there. They went after, I think it was Elijah Hicks late. I saw that. But the rest of it was trying to bolster the offensive line. They picked up Braxton Jones, who's an offensive lineman. They picked up Doug Kramer, an offensive lineman. They picked up Zachary Thomas, an offensive lineman. They picked up that Carter kid, who's also a left guard. So they picked up 4 offensive linemen. They're trying to figure out a way to protect Justin Fields so he can at least throw the ball downfield. Getting Velus Jones, they still, I mean, picking up Equanimeous St. Brown, you got Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle over there. But, you know, you still don't have Allen Robinson. You don't have that. They're much like the Green Bay Packers. You don't have that guy. You need that guy, and then everybody else gets better. So that's why Christian Watson is between him and Sammy Watkins. You hope that they at least appear to be able to take the lid off of defenses, so it spreads some things out and allows Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur to work the offense the way it's supposed to be done. But yeah, the Bears. The Bears are kind of, this draft was kind of a yawner, to be perfectly honest with you. As you start, because they addressed some needs. Kudos to them for that, but kind of a yawner. There was nothing there that made you jump out and go, wow, look what the Bears did. Didn't happen.
They drafted a punter.
Yeah. Did they really? Was there a punter in there too?
Yeah, from NC State, 7th round.
Oh, geez. Who'd they get? From NC State? I can't remember who that was. Was that Gilbert?
He isn't one of the big names. There were 2 big name punters in the draft. They went a lot earlier.
Okay. So they drafted a punter. Well, we've seen how that works out. Doesn't always equate to something positive when you actually spend a draft choice on a punter, considering the punter is probably out there anyway. There's not many guys getting drafted. You can usually find a decent punter. Kickers are a little different, but a decent punter you can usually find.
If you're the Bears, you need a punter.
Oh, God.
Right?
Oh,
if you're the Packers, you're not drafting him because you hope you don't really have to use him all.
Right. That and the fact that you've already got a punter, you've got, your kicker, you got a plethora of these guys now in camp. You're going for different holders, all that kind of stuff. Coming up in the next hour, our good buddy Mike Clemons is going to be here. We'll talk with him about what his thoughts are now that the dust is kind of settled on the NFL draft. So we'll get Mike's thoughts on that coming up here in just a little bit. Hey, if you're going to be heading downtown to catch a Bucks game upcoming, maybe even this coming weekend, stop down to our buddy Gino at Calderon Club or down at San Giorgio, the only authentic Napolitana pizzeria, a VPN right here in our own backyard. There's not many of them in the country or the world for that matter. We got one right here in our own backyard. Check out Gino and the gang down at San Giorgio and then over at Calderon Pub. And they put it all together. They pair up the Bill Michaels, those good pizzas and stuff. They do it. If you want them to do it, they do it with Cider Boys, which is also based right here in the state of Wisconsin. So check that out as well. But when you're down there, say hi to Gino, say hi to Robin. Alex, oh, God, I haven't seen Alex in a while. Got to get over there and see Alex and company. I got to get to the Calderon Club up there in Fox Point and see Carmelo and Frankie. Haven't seen those guys in a while either. Got to get some Italian back into life. Been out traveling around with that stuff too much. Mike Clemons going to be joining us coming up here in the next hour. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next. Glad to have you back. Hour number 4 on a Monday. How we're looking. Packers, Brewers, Bucks. A lot going on around all three franchises. And we'll get into all of that. Start to get some more of your comments over there on the Bud Light live stream. If you want to hit us up over there, you can also find us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny producing the show. Find him over on Twitter as well. Hey, Wisconsin, as we know, we're not snobby. We're not snooty. Nah, baby, nah. We have that Midwestern charm, right? The Wisconsin charm. And that's exactly what one of our new sponsors has right there in Peshtigo. Forgotten Fire Winery. That's what it's all about, man. Fun in a bottle. That's what they say. Fun in a bottle. I've had some of the wine from there, and it is good. You know, you don't have to go out to some of these places to find these 92s and 93 ratings and look for something that's really expensive and from somewhere in Napa Valley or for somewhere over in France. Nah, baby, nah. Got it right here in our own backyard. Forgotten Fire Winery. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in the liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery, great place to get away, too. Great place to get away. If you want to take a weekend up in Menominee Marinette, maybe go a little further, go to Pembine, go to the Four Seasons Island Resort, and take the winery tour, head over to Menominee Marinette, go see all the good people over there, Forgotten Fire Winery, and pick out a bottle or two. And when you do, they have music there. They have music. They have different private events all year long. So they got tastings going on. It's made from Wisconsin people for Wisconsin people and beyond. Check out our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. That's Forgotten Fire Winery, and you can find them over on Facebook as well. Good stuff. Forgotten Fire Winery. Glad to have them on the program. John says Packers got faster, bigger, and taller in the draft. I think that we may have a speed edge on many teams. The more threats that we have on offense, that will help. This was from Jacob. Jacob says, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, he has to be there each and every day to help school the young guys. Otherwise, they're not going to get any better. He's the one that has to impart the wisdom and get them on the same page with him, not vice versa. If he wants to have any success at all, then he's got to have these guys get better. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Tom says, hey, Bill, love the fact that you're coming back to Rice Lake again this year for the celebrity golf outing. Do you think that Larry the Cable Guy will be there? I have heard that Larry will be there. I can't confirm it. I've heard he will. Him and I touched base with each other, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. We were going back and forth in text and on Facebook. And he certainly, when I said something about the golf tournament, he said, see you there. So my assumption was that meant that he's coming. Yes. He goes on to say, I think the Packers had a great draft. I would give it an A+. So what? They didn't get one of the top 6 wide receivers. They still fortified themselves with one of the better wide receivers in the draft, and they got better in the trenches. Aren't you always the one telling us you get better in the trenches and it's like a ripple effect? Question mark. Yes, I am. I would agree with that. I'm not knocking my own thought process, okay? So bear with me here a second. I agree. They did get better. Sean Ryan, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker. I think they got better. They added depth to the trenches. And once you get Elton Jenkins back, knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood. Knock on wood that Elton Jenkins is healthy and he's able to come back mid-season and begin to take off and solidify that offensive line. Because then if Bakhtiari plays well and Runyon plays well and Myers plays well and Elton Jenkins moves down, and then you can either convert Josh Nijman over to right, which I don't think would happen, but take Zach Tom. You can shift him in there as well. You're solid. Put Elton Jenkins back at his natural position of the right guard. Go with Zach Tom on the outside. You're solid. And you've got depth. You still have Josh Nijman. You still have Royce Newman. You still have Cole Van Lannon. You know, you still have those guys. And the depth on that offensive line reigns supreme. And then your defensive front, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry, TJ Slayton, Jerron Reed, who you picked up in free agency, Jonathan Ford. You've now got guys in the trenches. Okay. You go with Enagbar, on the outside behind Preston Smith, Quay Walker, who's now on the inside with Devondre Campbell. He probably pushes Chris Barnes back. Rashawn Gary, who's done nothing but progress over the last few years. And then you look at your secondary, depending on who you're going to use where and when, with Eric Stokes, obviously Jair Alexander, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. You still have Rasul Douglas back there as well. They didn't draft a corner. I was a little bit surprised. They may feel pretty confident in the ability to keep Jair before it's all said and done. I really thought if they felt that Jair wasn't going to be back, they may pick up another corner. They didn't. So they may feel pretty solid with him. So they feel pretty good back there. I think they're a solid team, but now let me give you the but. Here's the but. The but is, as we looked at the teams that went to the Super Bowl, Cincinnati and LA, they had numerous, not one, not two, but really three dependable, good, maybe number one wideouts on this team any day of the week. They had three of them per team. That's what got them there, was a quarterback that could throw to any one of these three guys at any point in time. Now, Joe Burrow got the hell beat out of him because once they started covering Jamar Chase downfield, he didn't have time to let things open up because his offensive line just sucked. Whereas Matthew Stafford was protected, he was able to get the ball to the right guys. OBJ would have ended up being the MVP of the game had he not gone down with a knee injury. I mean, he was moving the sticks consistently. And then he had that little tweak on the carpet, and that was it for his knee. But I look at those teams going deep into the postseason to a Super Bowl with weapons. The Packers need more weapons. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, awesome. Kylan Hill's going to be back. Maybe he even still remains your returner. Awesome. Robert Tonyan, hopefully he comes back. He's fully recovered from the ACL. Awesome. Mercedes Lewis, big blocker. Josiah Aguirre, your Swiss Army knife. Dominic Daphne, he can catch passes, move the sticks, but he's not a downfield guy. They can do things very well, but it's all going to come down to Christian Watson, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers and his progression in the second year, all of that. And then and Sammy Watkins, I mentioned him. So I still feel that they need another guy to be because Watkins and Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard, they're not better than Jamar Chase. They're not better than, some of the top wide receivers still out there in the National Football League. They're not better than Cooper Kupp. Not happening. 877-867-1670. You can find us. Mike Clemons coming up here in about 10 minutes. Stay tuned for that as we'll talk to Mike about this team and about what his thoughts are. Now that he's had a chance to talk to the coaches, had a chance to talk to a lot of the draft choices as well. So we'll get his thoughts there about how the Green Bay Packers and their draft turned out. Daniel says, I think the Packers are a much better team. I still agree with you that they need another wide receiver. Do you think Christian Yelich is on the bounce back? See, I'm not. Christian Yelich had a good weekend. Couple of bombs Friday and Saturday. Hit the ball, got the average up of over 200. Build on that. I can't say if Christian Yelich, hits the hell out of the ball this week, that's fantastic. But I keep going back to last year. We were I don't want to say harping, but we were kind of harping on him, okay? We're talking about the average. We're talking about moving him down in the lineup. And then all of a sudden, about the second week, maybe third week, right after the All-Star break, he started hitting the ball. And you thought, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Is the old Christian Yelich back? And he went on about a 3-week, I don't want to say tear because he didn't really hit for power numbers, but he went on a 3-week stretch where he was hitting the ball pretty solid. He was roping the ball down the line, and he did it again this weekend. I agree with that because he went the opposite way down the left field line and just hit a smoker. He's spraying the ball right now, and that means he's seeing it, and that's good. But he did that last year, and he went on about a 3-week stretch where you thought, oh, okay, Christian Yelich is back, and then it went away. So right now, I hold my breath. Keep doing it. 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 Give me more than a week. Give me more than 2 weeks. Give me more than a month. And then I can say that he's back. And again, I don't expect him to hit 326 the way he did back in 2018, 2019. I don't expect that. Give me 285. Get the average up to 285. Get the average up to 280. Give me 25 home runs on a season, 20 home runs on a season. Get me close to 100 RBI. Make that batting third legit. Help the guys around you rather than them trying to help you and you not performing. Then I'll believe that Christian Yelich is back. Right now, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. 877-867-1670. Find us. Jerry says, in regards to the Packers and the draft, my opinion is it's really all about staying and getting healthy at the right time. Luck plays a role in it after positioning themselves in an excellent position, which what I thought they would have and will. There's a bit unproven talent there, but if they can stay reasonably healthy going into the playoffs or getting healthy at the right time, then you talk about a little luck, and who knows. You're right. You got to be good. You got to be healthy. You got to be hot, and you got to be lucky. All those four things have to play into it. Every bit of it. Ball has to bounce your way, no doubt. You got to get lucky, but health is huge. Last year, this team was all kinds of beat up, and then they got healthy, but they got healthy a couple weeks too late. And then it didn't mesh well when you tried to put them all back together in the postseason. Didn't mesh well. And that's what happened to the Packers. Offensive line wise, just didn't mesh well. I go back to the comment before that you look at some of the back end of this NFL draft for the Green Bay Packers, and I think the Packers got better on special teams. I think their special teams has gotten better too. Now, again, it's on paper, so who cares? We're analyzing the hell out of this. We're already having the Lombardi Trophy, written up and inscribed to the Green Bay Packers, title coming back to Titletown, all that kind of stuff, just because they picked up some guys that have some names. Until you see them out on the field, nobody will know. Nobody will know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do it. Give us a shout. Mike Clemons going to be joining us. We'll talk with him about what he sees with the new look Green Bay Packers. Get his thoughts on that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Milwaukee Bedbug Pros. Milwaukee Bedbug Pros. I've been telling you about them for a while now. They came on, and Milwaukee Bedbug Pros, they are not only a company that wants to remind you that at this time of year that things are going to start to creep as the weather starts to get warmer, okay? But also, they don't do raccoons in the attic. They don't do bats in the attic, anything like that. What they do is the bed bugs, the roaches, the stink bugs that start to get, the box elder bug, all that stuff that starts to become more active. You may not even know you have it in your house until all of a sudden you're looking down going, what the hell? It's maybe an ant problem. Whatever it happens to be, they can help you out. Milwaukee Bedbug Pros, they take care of it. And the best part about it is, if you got pets, no problem. If you got kids, no problem. Don't worry. They go through the whole thing with you meticulously. And if you are say a building owner, whether it's apartment buildings, office buildings that has issues, these are the people to call. And they don't show up in these giant big vans with a big giant cockroach on top. They do it very discreetly. Just say, hey, look, we're going to come in. We're going to help you out. We're going to get out of here. Call them, 414-877-5811. 414-877-5811. Again, 414-877-5811. They are number one in bed bugs right here in our area. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Stay tuned. Mike Clemons coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina. And this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only one or two lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and impervious Corvia, Powell's exclusive Never Rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. And there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Hella now? Pay later. Hella now.
Course adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Talented players in the league. From the University of Texas, El Paso, Aaron Jones.
The Minnesota Vikings have traded the 34th pick to the Green Bay Packers. With the 34th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State. Welcome to the pack, baby. Can't wait to get to work with you.
There you go. Aaron Rodgers gets his guy, and he's going to look familiar, Joel. You see the comp there on the bottom? Marquez, Valdez, Scanlon. It's amazing how these teams have the styles and the types of players that they like.
It's surreal. I've been playing this game since I was 4 years old. It's something that I've dreamed of. It's amazing, and I'm excited, to be on the Packers for sure.
There you go. That's it. Christian Watson announced by none other than Aaron Jones. And we're going to go to our guy in Green Bay, Mike Clemons, brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable. just a mile from Lambeau. Remember that. And as we got training camp and all these special dates and OTAs and all the things you want to do up in Green Bay, stop over to the Bay Motel in Green Bay, the Bay Family Restaurant as well, featuring that home-style cooking. So good. 7 days a week. Right there. 1301 South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations. 920-494-3441. That's 920-494-3441, or just simply go online to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Mike Clemons on board. Michael, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. It was a good weekend. I spent some time this morning looking at the history of the drafts, and I thought, let's see, that's like 11 picks, and I there's something interesting about each of these kids that I wanted to talk to Bill about. But I went over the past drafts of the last 10 or 15 years, actually through the history of the Packers, and then you just start to realize that thing comes up. It's like, if you get 2 or 3 players, that's great, because the rest are just a bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm. Right?
And it's just so true when you go through this. And I can talk about that a little bit later. The best draft the Packers ever had was in 1958, and their second, third, and fourth picks were like Nitschke, Jim Taylor, and Jerry Kramer, and they all went to the Hall of Fame. You can't top that.
Right.
Which also raises the question, Leroy's going in this year, and then after Aaron Rodgers, who's the next Hall of Famer for the Packers in the Ted Thompson, Brian Gutekunst era?
Ooh.
Is it Clay? And maybe that's a question you throw out to the listeners tomorrow.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you needed some wide receivers. You trade up in the second round with 2 picks to the Vikings, and you take that guy that's right there on the board right after the Buccaneers. So we talked to one of their top scouts, actually. Milt Hendrickson has been named director of football operations. He was with Ozzie Newsome, a great GM and former player for many years with the Ravens. Learned a lot of good stuff from him. And so we said, this is a kid that, came from a smaller program, and this is a big pick that you made. What do you think about this Milt Hendrickson?
I'll give Ozzie credit. I spent a lot of years in Baltimore. He would always say a pick is just a pick until it becomes a player. And from that standpoint, if you love the player, you just, find a way to get him. To his credit and talking to the coaches there, he works every day on the jugs machine. He works all the time, not just on his hands, but in his route running and just becoming a better player, because he does carry a chip on his shoulder. NDSU is his only offer. So that, in my mind, that's not a concern. I think he took a significant jump in the Senior Bowl because, you guys have hit on it a couple of times, a lower level of competition, so to speak. And there aren't as many guys on our board that he's playing against. But he got a chance to do that at the Senior Bowl, and he blew it out of the water.
So, Mike, my question is, when this team, they jumped up to get him, we've been talking all day about there's the concern about the drops, about one of the problems he's had, other than just the physical attributes. He's fantastic, but he's also had at times the case of the drops. So why did they trade up to get Christian Watson?
Yeah, there was something I saw, like out of 120 targets, he dropped 16, which is a pretty high percentage. And, they brought him in. They did talk to him in person. And we kind of had this question and answer with Brian Gutekunst about trading up to get him out of a kid out of North Dakota State. This wasn't like this is a guy that played Alabama in the national championship. They played Montana State.
Mm-hmm.
He was out of Plant High School in Tampa, Florida, which is a good school. A lot of good kids come out of there, according to Charles Davis. But his only offer was North Dakota State. So we talked to Goody about that.
Yeah, I think to answer the first part of your question, not really. It doesn't matter. It's certainly something for us to investigate and kind of like, as you're looking into a player and his story. Obviously, he was a late bloomer. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure he probably touched on that, where he was kind of early in high school as far as his height and his weight. And then when he got to NDSU, again, another kind of a little bit like Georgia at a different level, but obviously a championship program, a ton of success. They run the ball there a lot. They asked a lot of the receivers in the run game as far as, blocking and different things, which obviously, I know Matt talks about it a lot, but that's very much a part of what we do now, maybe more so than in the past. So that part was attractive as well. But, I think, all the guys that we took over the last 2 days coming from, really structured high-level programs is, certainly something that is very helpful to us.
Christian Watson, man, he's come a long way from a kid that only got an offer, one single offer, coming out of college, to all of a sudden be a second-round draft choice now for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and so he's also from a football family. Christian Watson's dad, Tim, was drafted by the Packers in '93 as a safety, and then he went to he played for the Giants and 2 or 3 other teams in the NFL, but I'm not sure if he actually made the cut in '93 for the Packers. But, he raises his son. It's a football family. They're out there in the backyard playing it all the time. And so we talked to Christian, who did meet with the Packers, on what was it like getting the call from the Packers, the same team that had drafted his father back in 1993.
I mean, I had a really great visit with the Packers. Definitely, felt like they were pretty interested in me. And obviously, I loved, getting to meet all the coaches, and I love, the culture and everything that they had going on. And obviously, when I got the call, shoot, I mean, it was crazy, and couldn't be happier.
So, Christian, you say it's always been football. So, was there something really positive that happened either during youth football programs or at Plant High School that set you on the right path? And how does the son of a safety become a wide receiver?
Shoot, I mean, for me, becoming a wide receiver, I was just, I want to compete. As a kid, I played on both sides of the ball. But when it came down, high school days, and in terms of, choosing one thing that I wanted to kind of specialize in, I really wanted to have the rock in my hands. And shoot, I mean, throughout my entire, childhood, obviously growing up around a football family, we're just a family full of competitors. So, I mean, I've been, competing since such a young age. I love competition. I always, push myself to be as dominant as a competitor as possible. So, I mean, it's just been a lifelong thing. I mean, football has just been something that's been, drilled into me, and it's something that I've been very passionate about and that I love for a long time.
Packers second-round draft choice, Christian Watson there speaking. And Mike, so his dad gets, drafted by the Green Bay Packers, and he had to be excited when he saw the 920 number calling from up in Green Bay, you would assume.
No doubt. It's just a team that he's familiar with. There's one other player that said he, grew up a Packers fan. His mom was a huge fan since Super Bowl 45. So, LaFleur, now he's got, Randall Cobb. He's trying to bring in Amari Rodgers. You got Alan Lazard out there. Then after that, the cupboard gets kind of bare. And I thought this was interesting. Well, LaFleur realizes now he's got to make up for 17 going to the Raiders. And so one of the things he did was he said, what did a Davante Adams look like when he first arrived in Green Bay? I thought this was brilliant when Matt LaFleur was asked, how do you replace Davante Adams at wide receiver?
I mean, certainly you're not going to find Davante Adams, not initially. Certainly, I don't want to limit any of these guys and say they can't become that. But, I mean, you're talking about one of the elite receivers in the game. And I think even if you look at Davante's first couple of years, matter of fact, throughout this process, I went back and watched some of Davante's highlights from college and just how he moved. I went back and watched his combine. And I would say that he looks a little bit different than he did then. So there is definitely it's a process, and it takes some time, and hopefully we can get these guys up to speed pretty quickly. And it's going to start with just how they attack it and how fast they pick this up. And certainly we're going to push them to be their best right away, because that's what we need from them.
That's Matt LaFleur. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. Mike Clemons on the line with us up in Green Bay, talking about the draft and this past weekend and all the information coming out of 1265. What is your home team, Wisconsin? Could be the Green and Gold. Got the Crew, Got a Wisconsin basketball team right here in the city of Milwaukee that won a championship. We've also got a great team that loves to jump around. We got it all. And for me, the year-round home team, that's our friends. Home team, HOME. That's Pella Winners and Doors of Wisconsin. In the dead of winter, in the heat of summer, everything in between, Pella of Wisconsin, they're the team to call for energy-efficient beautiful windows, many different lines. Who wouldn't settle for just one or two lines of windows, right? Both vinyl. Pella's got them 2 lines there. They have got 6 total lines of different windows. The vinyl, the Impervia, 3 luxurious wood from traditional to contemporary, by the way. And I mentioned the Impervia already, but right now they got top financing to fit any budget. You can choose up to $2,500 bucks off of an installed patio door, $3,000 off of an entry door system. So don't put it off anymore. When you're buying windows, you're buying doors, you're buying entry doors, whatever it happens to be. Get the team that is not the most expensive, but they're the best. Voted the best value for your money. Not by me, but by you, the consumer, over years and years and years. Don't put it off any longer. With the price of materials rising almost every day, set up your free consultation. Go to PellaWI.com. That is P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. Or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break. More with Mike Clemons coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The NASCAR Series returns. Secure your tickets to see the big guns roar around the road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For all the racing information, go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
With the 28th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia.
Okay. And so they did not take the receiver. Here's what they did do. They just made history. Tonight in this first round, Willis, the Packers took Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt, both from Georgia. They're the first team ever in the common draft to take two defensive players from the same school in the same draft in the first round. Now, that Georgia defense is one of the greats we've ever seen. What do you think of the selection here of Devontae Wyatt?
This guy is a pass-rushing team. He is super quick. He is more of a one-gap type of player, but he has got all the pass rush moves. He is quick. He has great pursuit skills.
I mean, I'm being honest with you, man. It's amazing, man. It's a blessing. Getting drafted with a teammate and already having a teammate that's already down there. So I'm very happy. I'm very confident. I'm ready to just, go ball.
There you go. The comments. As the Green Bay Packers make history, the fifth player off of any team coming into the first round of the NFL Draft. Joining us on the hotline, our buddy Mike Clemons. So, you know what? The guy that's got to be smiling the biggest, I guess, is Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach, Mike, because they went from being maybe a little bit thin to now they've got depth, they've got versatility, they've got additional guys for special teams. I mean, it seems like they cured a lot, defensively speaking, with this draft.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fans are like, wait a minute, defensive line? Dude, you need a wide receiver. Well, okay, so we'll play along that you took the tackling machine linebacker, Quay Walker, out of Georgia, the national championship team. But, then, across the lake is the usual Lions pick. Now, this year, they made a great pick, number 2, where they got Aiden Hutchinson, the kid from Michigan, the kid that grew up in that area for their edge. Outstanding player. That's a great pick for him. But then, 12 picks down, they trade up. They give away 3 picks to go get Jameson Williams out of Alabama, great receiver. But he suffered a torn ACL in the national championship game. He's not going to be ready till maybe November this year. The Lions always like to go way up and take wide receivers, and then they don't have people to block. They don't have people on their defensive line. So this was a tip-off that if I'd been paying a little bit more attention, because when we talked to the coaches in Green Bay about 2 weeks ago, the defensive line coach, Jerry Montgomery, were saying, so you got Kenny Clark, you got Dean Lowry, they brought in this Jaron Reed guy who'd spent those 3-4 years with the Seahawks and then last year with the Chiefs. So that's some experience at defensive tackle. But, what do you need on the defensive line? And he pretty much said, we need Devontae Wyatt. Listen to this.
Just like any coach in the league, you always want to add more talent. So we'll leave that up to Goody and those guys to figure that out, and they'll do that. But ultimately, you would love to add a high level third down pass rusher. I think we've got a solid group that can do both, but I think you have a little bit more twitchier of a guy that can add to the rush from an inside standpoint. But, anything he gives us, we'll be happy with. So.
It was interesting because he got a call. I think it was Kenny Clark that called him, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, right after the Packers called him and selected him in the draft, he gets a call from Kenny Clark. And you see, so what's happened here is Goody said, okay, I'll try and get you that interior pass rush. And he takes the guy with the fastest time at the combine, Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia, who ran a 3.77. 4.37.
Yeah.
4.77.40 at the combine, fastest of all the defensive linemen. And after he got selected by the Packers, he said he had just gotten off the phone with Kenny Clark.
I love Kenny. Kenny just called me, man. I was so happy to hear his voice and just to hear Kenny, say Devontae, because I grew up watching Kenny. He was like my number one top 2 defensive tackle. But just getting that call from him, I was happy, man. I felt welcome already. And it's just an amazing feeling just to have that type of caliber player to call you. And Kenny is like he's definitely one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL.
Mike, then you bring in a guy like Jonathan Ford, and you talk about another connection to the Green Bay Packers. Isn't he a buddy of TJ Slayton?
He is. He's 6'5", 315, huge kid out of Miami. And we were talking to him about him getting the call, being interviewed by the Packers, even though they took him in the 7th round. Goody saw these guys on the board, and that's when he was trading down to get more of those picks back and come out of this thing with 11 players. So, yeah, he said he not only grew up, with TJ Slayton, a great defensive lineman you got, but he was on the phone with the Packers outside linebacker, Jonathan Garvin. Those guys were teammates at Miami.
I talked to my boy Garvin. He was talking to me throughout the process, just keeping my head, right, not knowing that Green Bay was going to select me. So the whole time I'm sitting there, man, and as soon as he texted me, man, Green Bay called, man, and it was like a blessing. And it's like I shed tears of that because it's like me and this guy, man, we have a great relationship, man. To hear my phone ring and see that it was Green Bay, man, it was like a dream come true, man, because I got players up there. I got friends that I grew up and went to middle school with that's up there right now. And to be able to go back and reunite with those guys is a blessing.
Who's your middle school friend that's up in Green Bay right now?
Tariq Slayton. I went to middle school with him.
Oh, so how excited are you then, like, to join forces with TJ?
Man, I'm very excited, man, to see 2 big guys in the middle of that defense, man. It's gonna be scary out there, so I'm very excited to reunite with him, man, and be able to play with him.
The one thing, Mike, that I keep going back to and I keep thinking about with all these guys that have some kind of a connection, they know each other, they've either played with each other or they've had familiar face. Camaraderie in this locker room should not be an issue. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And also, Gutekunst was directly addressing some needs on this team, especially like in special teams. There's this kid that's played some safety and linebacker down there for Georgia Tech. His new coach that came in a couple of years ago, Jeff Collins, came in and said, there's a bad culture here, and you guys need to be better at teammates. You need to volunteer more for things like special teams. So this Tariq Carpenter kid is big. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He's hard-hitting down there at Georgia Tech. He's from a military family. He goes out there and salutes the military people that are in the stands before the game. Real likable. Came to Green Bay, visited, talked to Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator. And so we asked him, how do you think you can first help the Packers here in Green Bay?
Special teams. You can pull up any special teams play from my sim and my 5 years of playing, and I'm going to remember it. I took special teams serious before Coach Collins got there. It wasn't, expressed. It wasn't, being trained or being talked about being a good teammate. And I feel like that's what kind of elevated my game after my visit with the Packers, I was real confident. Even if I did fall out of the draft, I felt as if it was going to be the best fit for me, especially just watching film up on the defense. A real creative defensive coordinator he is. He put people in positions to excel, and I feel like that was going to be the best fit for me scheme wise.
I like the fact that not only did they get some guys that we believe can contribute as starters, Mike, or at least in the rotation, but Bisaccia's got to be happy with some of the depth that he's getting for that special teams unit.
Yeah, and the new special teams coordinator, Rich Bisaccia, he interviewed these players too that they brought in. I mean, a lot of these guys that got drafted were the top 30 players that Green Bay flew in for in-person interviews after the combine, after their pro days. And so, you start hearing some things around the building about this. And so Gutekunst was asked Saturday night after the draft was over, how much did Rich Bisaccia, your new special teams coordinator, lobby to get guys like Tariq Carpenter here?
Yeah, like Carpenter was one, and there's a couple other guys, JJ, was certainly a guy that was on his list, and Dobbs as well. So, yeah, it's like I said, I think we got to change that. We got to get better there. So I think we're kind of open to a lot of different things maybe than we would have done in the past.
Culture change, though, in Wisconsin as well when you talk about Packer football, because now you got all these guys reaching out to including Aaron Rodgers, reaching out to these guys saying, welcome, can't wait to see you, can't wait to talk to you, can't wait to meet you, all that kind of – it seems like things have changed for the better, Mike.
I think this goes back to that discussion from Mark Murphy 3-4 years ago about the silos. And I mean, Bill, in the last 2 weeks too, I'm hearing more and more of these connections. Like we're talking to Jason Vrabel, the wide receiver coach, the other day about, Devontae's gone. You bring in Sammy Watkins. He goes, yeah, I coached Sammy when we brought him in at the Bills. Like, wow. So, you've got this Jonathan Ford guy that played with Jonathan Garber. He's like texting with Garber when he gets picked. You hear that Aaron Rodgers texted Christian Watson right after he got the draft call. So I have a feeling that maybe Matt LaFleur is sort of coordinating this, like to say to these guys, hey, Kenny Clark, call these guys. Welcome to the team that's in your position room or going to be part of the offense or defense. And so I asked LaFleur, what's going on there?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it is just you love it when your leaders take these guys under their wing because, I mean, these guys that have been around know that we've got to count on everybody. And the sooner that we can get these young guys up to speed and they feel comfortable with what we're doing and they feel accepted, a part of the group, I think the better our chances are. So that's always encouraging when you hear stories like that for our guys reaching out to those younger guys and kind of accepting them. I think that makes you feel good as a coach.
Let's do this. We'll step out, take a quick break, come back, wrap things up. Mike Clemons is on the line. Don't forget about our friends at Stoley's Hog Alley. A lot of people coming in going, wow, construction at that place. They're just knocking it all down. It's going to be built back bigger, more beautiful than ever. Can't wait for this place to open, but they are still open. So if you see them being under construction right there in Summit in Oconomowoc, and you're kind of looking over going, I'm not going there. They're still open. They're just kind of rearranging things right now and redoing stuff as they continue on through the construction. But once it's done, it's going to be magnificent. Check out Stoley's Hog Alley out there in Oconomowoc and Summit, or go up to Watertown and see Stoll's Old 109. They have that as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. Wrapping it up next.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
With the 22nd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
Green Bay on the clock goes Quay Walker, linebacker. 6'4" linebacker, by the way. Big, physical, strong.
Oh man, as soon as I saw the call and it said Green Bay, Wisconsin, at that point I knew what it was, and I just got really emotional, just started crying from that point on.
Welcome back. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show on this Monday, wrapping up the coverage of the NFL Draft and the Green Bay Packers' place in it. And now the questions, well, they've not only begun, they're going to persist until the Green Bay Packers do something to show that they have shored up the wide receiving core. Joining us on the hotline, our buddy from up in Green Bay, Mike Clemons from NFL Sirius Radio. So, Mike, the question of the day today and giving out all the grades was the Packers got some good grades, but did they really do enough to address that wide receiving position? Because while they're still a really good defense, they don't have enough offensive firepower, many think, to be able to really, truly compete for a Super Bowl after looking at what the Rams had last year with Cooper Kupp and OBJ and Ferguson and everybody, and then obviously what they had with Jamar Chase and company in Cincinnati. Do the Packers have enough weaponry, and will they regret not trading up?
Yeah, there was those 6 wide receivers everybody agreed on that were off the board by the time that Goody got at 22, and he took the inside linebacker, Quay Walker, that you just heard there. So, your top 3 picks, you get this inside linebacker tackling machine to help out Devondre Campbell. You hope this Devontae Wyatt kid's going to turn out to be an inside pass rush, and then, you move up to get, your wide receiver in Christian Watson. And who knows what his identity will be, whether it's going to be a Jordy type, a Greg Jennings type, a James Jones type, or, a Devontae, maybe his own kind of side. I thought this was something really interesting that Goody said over the weekend when he said, when you get down there in the 7th round, let's say the Packers right now are really deep at corner. So then you really like this corner. He's got a high grade, but you say to yourself, he probably won't make the team because we're so deep at corner. He says, that's when you get into trouble. You got to stay with the board, take the number, and add another corner. So, but he did add a lot of players at the end to help him out on special teams. And we asked him, are you satisfied that you got your needs taken care of as well as sticking your board over the weekend?
Yeah, I think, again, I think we looked at some of those options and, ultimately we decided to stay where we were and do what we did. But, there's some good players in this draft. I don't know if they would change our offense. You know what I mean? I think certainly would have helped. But, the guys we took, I think, I imagine you're kind of trying to refer to the receiver position more than anything else. And for me, what I think we were able to add in the draft, and the 3 guys we drafted, I think they can help us. Again, we got to get them here, and they got to get on the field, and we'll see what they can do with what Matt and those guys want them to do. But I think they can help us. So, but yeah, there's some good players in this draft, and that's one of the hardest parts about the draft is. Especially early on, is watching these guys that you spent so much time studying and kind of realizing how good that they are and watching them go and not be able to get them. That's tough.
The other question, Mike, the offensive line, obviously, we count on Bakhtiari being back and good. So how is he?
This didn't sound good. Here's Goody.
I have a lot of faith in David and him getting back to where he needs to be. I know he's working his tail off and feel good about it. At the same time, I think it's the National Football League and injuries are tough. And I think we have to be prepared either way. But I'm pretty confident that Dave's going to get back to the level that he was at prior to the injury.
Well, at least he's confident about it, but it doesn't sound like, oh, Dave's doing great. You know what I mean?
No.
You were kind of hoping for that.
It's 50-50 right now.
Yeah.
It's 50-50 right now in Bakhtiari.
Yeah, you were kind of hoping that he'd say it was good. And then there's, obviously we've got to wait to see what Elton Jenkins is going to do coming back from his injury. So I get it. Mike, great stuff as always. Real quick, I did have somebody say that the other wide receiver, Romeo Doubs, what did you think of him?
Impressive, pretty good speed, seems to be versatile, and he already knows that he may have to be starting out on special teams as well. But, they took 3 receivers a couple of years ago, and MVS is really the only one that stuck from that group. So if they can get at least 1 or 2, to come through, that you're doing pretty good.
Good stuff, Mike. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it, buddy. This portion of the program, to wrap things up, brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip. You could win a 2022 Chevy Camaro SS. SS Super Sport. Nice. With a Quick Trip 250 Pepsi pit stop, and it's presented by Jack Links. All you got to do is stop in, get a Pepsi, Rockstar, Jack Links product. Use that Quick Rewards app. I use mine all the time, man. I get all kinds of stuff back on that thing, too. It's fantastic. But you can stop in. That gets you registered to possibly win this Chevy Camaro SS. You got to stop into Quick Trip for details. Giving away all kinds of stuff in honor of the Quick Trip 250, the Pepsi pit stop, coming to Road America. They're going to be roaring through Road America this year. NASCAR will be. Good stuff, man. Today flew by. Thanks to everybody being a part of the program. Thanks to you for taking a listen to us as well. Everybody over on the Bud Light live stream, everybody listening over on Twitter. Don't forget Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts. You can find our stuff there as well. If you missed a segment or you missed an entire show, go listen to it there as well. Time for us to get out of here. Have